Good morning. All the best for the conference today. Am I audible?
Hi, am I audible? Hi, Lakshmanan Sellapan, can you please mute your sound?
Hello, I am Lakshmanan, your father's friend.
Oh, yes, Uncle, can you please mute your
Yes.
voice, please?
Yes, native of Devakotai.
Thank you, thank you. Please mute your voice.
Is it?
Yeah, mute it, please, so that we can
Okay,
hear
okay.
others.
I will miss.
Thank you. Good morning. Namaste, ma'am. We are very honored to have you here today. And I'm extremely glad my entire team is totally elated and we can't believe that this is happening today. Thank you so much for being here.
In fact, here to youngsters doing research, especially this is one area where I am deeply involved in, and also try to keep abreast myself with the younger generation and their findings. So it's an opportunity for me also. So can you just start? Are we starting right now?
Yes,
Yeah.
we are starting. I think most of the speakers are here.
Yeah.
Two of them are still not online, but I think the rest of us can just start the discussion. I would request Aparna Reddy to begin today's conference. Aparna?
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning, namaskaram, and a heartfelt welcome to all. On
A bit
behalf of the
louder, please.
Foundation
I'm
of
not
Developed
able to hear.
India. Am I audible?
Louder.
Louder? Okay. On behalf of the Foundation of Developed India, it gives me immense pleasure to welcome each one of you to the inaugural edition of Nrityajyoti Festival Conference 2025. Today is a very special day as we gather together, artists, scholars, students, and rasikas, to celebrate not just the art of dance, but also the scholarship, thought, and dialogue that keeps this art alive and ever evolving. The word Nrityajyoti, the light of dance, beautifully captures the spirit of this gathering. Dance is not only movement, it is illumination. It shines as knowledge, as expression, as cultural memory, and as the rhythm of life itself. And today, in this virtual space, that light is carried forward by each scholar who has joined us. This conference is the first of its kind under the umbrella of the Nrityajyoti Festival. While the festival celebrates performance and artistry, this academic conference provides a space for reflection, research, and critical conversations about dance. Here, the young generations of scholars will present their insights on Kuchipudi, its history, evolution, structure, and contemporary transformations. Their voices remind us that dance is not static, it's a living tradition, constantly shaped by the times while staying rooted in its essence. As we look ahead to the presentations, I would now like to acknowledge and appreciate the diversity of the themes that our speakers will explore. From tracing the history of Kuchipudi to examining the impact of globalization of the dance form, from decoding literary structures like Pratinayaka Pravesidarvus to studying the interplay between Gita Govinda and choreography, to social influences, contemporary amalgamations, and even the growth of Kuchipudi. Each presentation opens a window into a different dimension. By engaging in academic dialogue, we strengthen our understanding of these nuances and ensure that our heritage continues to thrive in a meaningful ways. As we begin today's session, I invite each one of you to not only listen, but also learn, to engage, question, and reflect. Once again, I warmly welcome all our esteemed speakers, our keynote speaker, Srimati Sita Nagajoti Garu, and chairperson, Professor Anuradha Jannalgada Garu, our participants from across India, and every member of the audience who has joined us today. Together, let us make this inaugural conference a memorable beginning to what I hope will be a tradition of many more such gatherings in the year ahead. Now, I would like to introduce our keynote speaker, Srimati Guru Sita Nagajoti Garu.
Namaskaram Andi. So glad to see you. Yeah.
I've been to see. Leonard Pillalu Alandra Banera.
I would like to say a few words about our keynote speaker. Guru Srimati Sita Nagajoti is one of the senior-most disciples of Padma Bhushan late Dr. Vempati Chinna Satyam, and she follows his style ardently through her teachings. Over the years, she has been felicitated and awarded several times for her devotion to Kuchipudi. For her contribution to the field of teaching and propagating Kuchipudi for half a century, Sangeet Natak Academy has introduced a documentary titled The Life and Works of Guru Srimati Sita Nagajyoti. Guru Sita Nagajyoti receives a senior fellowship awarded by the Ministry of Culture, Government of India, for outstanding academic achievement in research in Kuchipudi. Her research was recently published and a book was launched at the Sangeet Natak Academy in November 2024. Now, I would also like to introduce our chairperson for today, Professor Nrityajyoti Garu, who is a leading Kuchipudi performer, choreographer, and scholar, who has dedicated nearly 5 decades to the practice, performance, and teaching of the dance form. A top-grade artist, she trained under legendary gurus such as Vedantam Jagannatha Sarma Garu, Chinta Radhakrishnamurti Garu, Shobha Naidu Garu, and Dr. Vempati Chinna Satyam Garu. Renowned for her mastery of Abhinaya and innovative productions like Mahakali, Namostu Nari, and Apas, and Ode to Water, she has graced prestigious stages across India. Beyond her acclaimed career as a performer, Professor Anuradha is one of the rare academicians in the Indian dance who has shaped scholarship through embodied practice. She authored the pioneering doctoral thesis, Tradition and Innovations in Kuchipudi Dance, the first PhD on the form, which continues to serve as a cornerstone in Kuchipudi research. As a professor of dance at the Kuchipudi of Hyderabad, at the University of Hyderabad, she has redefined pedagogy by integrating history, aesthetics, and conceptual inquiry into the practice. Her academic contributions extend to authoring and editing 6 significant volumes and presenting at national and international forums, including the Society of Dance History Scholars. She is a recipient of prestigious recognitions such as Aditya Vikram Birla Kala Kiran Puraskar, the Padma Shri Dr. Shobha Naidu Lifetime Achievement Award, the Artist of Eminence recognition by Ministry of Culture. I would now request Guru Srimati Sita Nagajyoti Garu to deliver the keynote address.
Everybody, namaskaram. Matrudevo bhava, Pitrudevo bhava, Acharya Devo bhava. Vidya dadati vinayam అనే నానుడి ప్రకారం విద్య అనేది విజ్ఞానాన్ని, బుద్ధి వికాసాన్ని, మంచి ఆలోచనని కలిగించే ఒక ప్రక్రియ. అందున లలిత కళలకి ఆలవాలమైన నాట్య శాస్త్రం కానీ, భరతార్ణవం కానీ, భరత రస ప్రకరణం కానీ ఈ ఉద్దేశంతోనే నిరంతరం నిలిచిపోయేలా, అన్ని తరాల వారికి ఉపయోగపడేలా మహానదులు లాంటిటువంటి ఉత్కృష్ట గంధాలను శాస్త్రీకరించి మనకు బహూకరించి వెళ్ళారు. మన పూర్వీకులు ఎన్నో క్లిష్టతరమైన గ్రంథాలను వారు సులభతరం చేస్తూ మనకి అందించడం జరిగిందని చెప్పవచ్చు. ఇది మహా భాగ్యంగా మనం భావించవచ్చు. లలిత కళలలో మహోత్కృష్ట స్థానాన్ని సంపాదించింది మన నృత్యమే. సంగీతం అనేది లలిత కళలలో ఒక కళగా పేరెన్నికగానది. పూర్వం ఇది గీతం, వాద్యం ఎట్సెట్రా అనే 3 కలయికగా వాడుకలో ఉండేది. కాలానుగుణంగా మార్పులతో గీతానికి సంగీతం అనే పేరు నిలిచిపోయింది. ఎలాగైతే కోక అనే పదం ఒకప్పటి ఏ వస్త్రానికైనా ఉపయోగంలో ఉండేదో, నేడు కోక అనే పదం కేవలం చీర అనే అర్థంలో వాడుకలోకి వచ్చిందో అలాగే ఇది కూడా. ఇక ప్రస్తుత విషయమైన ఎకడామిక్స్కి ఎంతవరకు కూచిపూడికి న్యాయం చేస్తుంది అనే విషయానికి వస్తే, నృత్యం చేయడమే కాకుండా దానిని అకాడమీస్లో ఒక భాగంగా చేయడం అనేది చాలా అవసరం. ప్రాక్టికల్గా ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ కానీ, పెర్ఫార్మెన్స్ కానీ చేసే వాళ్ళకి థియరీ నాలెడ్జ్ ఉంటే అది వాళ్ళకి ఎసెట్టే కదా. కోరియోగ్రఫీ చేసే వాళ్ళకి థియరీ నాలెడ్జ్ ఉంటే ఇంట్రికేట్ ఫుట్ వర్క్ చేయడం కానీ, సాహిత్యాన్ని ఎవరిని అడగకుండా వారంతర వారి కోరియోగ్రఫీ చేసుకోగల సామర్థ్యాన్ని పొందడం కానీ జరగవచ్చు. కొంతమంది ఏమీ ఎక్కడా చదువుకోకపోయినా చదువుకున్న వారి సలహా సంప్రదింపులతోనే కోరియోగ్రఫీ చేయగలుగుతున్నారు. అందుకని నర్తకి కానీ నర్తకుడు కానీ తనంత తాను చదువుకొని సాహిత్యాన్ని ఆస్వాదిస్తూ ఆకళించుకొని దానిని ప్రయోగించడం అనేది చాలా సులభతరంగా చేయడానికి దోహదకారం అవుతుంది. ఇకపోతే విశ్వవిద్యాలయం ఎన్నో క్రొత్త సబ్జెక్టులని ప్రతి సంవత్సరం ఇంట్రడ్యూస్ చేస్తూనే ఉన్నారు. అందులో ప్రస్తుతం ఈవెన్ కూచిపూడి నాట్యం కూడా ఆల్రెడీ తెలుగు యూనివర్సిటీలోను, సెంట్రల్ యూనివర్సిటీలోను, గవర్నమెంట్కి సంబంధించిన కేంద్ర విద్యాలయాలను మిగిలిన సబ్జెక్ట్స్ అయిన సైన్స్, సోషల్ స్టడీస్తో పాటు కూచిపూడికి కూడా ఒక సబ్జెక్టుగా పెట్టి ప్రాక్టికల్స్ కానీ థియరీ ఎగ్జామ్స్ కానీ కండక్ట్ చేస్తున్నారు. ఇంకా ముందు ప్రాథమిక దశలైన ఫస్ట్ స్టెప్, సెకండ్ స్టెప్, లేకపోతే ఫస్ట్ స్టాండర్డ్, సెకండ్ స్టాండర్డ్లో మిగిలిన సబ్జెక్ట్స్తో ప్రోత్సహించినట్లయితే ఆయా క్లాసుల వారిలో ఒక పీరియడ్ కూచిపూడి నృత్యానికి ఇస్తే, ప్రాధాన్యత ఇచ్చి ఆయా కళాకారులు కళలలో నిష్ణాతురాలని కోరిక ఉన్న వారికి ఎంతో ఉత్సాహాన్ని కలిగించేవారు అవుతారు. అంటే ఏంటి, ఇది వీళ్ళేమోనూ ఒక స్కూల్లో చిన్న తరగతుల నుంచి పెద్ద తరగతుల వరకు పెడితే కనుక వాళ్ళకి ఈ పిల్లలు నేర్చుకోవడానికి కానీ టీచర్స్ కూడా ఈజీ అవుతుంది. పైన పెద్ద క్లాసులకు వెళ్ళేసరికి కొంత స్టాండర్డ్ ఉంటుంది కాబట్టి వాళ్ళని పైకి తీసుకురావడానికి అవకాశం ఉంటుంది. అది నా ఉద్దేశం. ఇక ఆయా క్లాసులో ఒక పీరియడ్ గురించి ఉన్న వారికి ఎంతో ఉత్సాహాన్ని కలిగించేవారు అవుతారు. అందువల్ల చాలా మంది యాక్చువల్గా ఇది మనం డాన్స్కి సంబంధించి మనం ఎందుకని ఎక్కువగా ఎవరు ఎక్కువ దీన్ని తీసుకోవటం లేదు, ఎకడమిక్గా ఎందుకు తీసుకోవటం లేదంటే దీనివల్ల మనకేమోనూ ఏమీ చాలా తక్కువ ప్రతిఫలం కనబడుతుంది. ఎలాగంటే ఇప్పుడు డాక్టర్, ఇంజనీర్ ఉన్నారు అనుకోండి, ఉంటే వాళ్ళేమో ఏం చేస్తున్నారు, వాళ్ళని తయారు చేయడానికి ముందు ఎకడమిక్గా వీళ్ళు డాక్టరు, ఇంజనీర్ కోర్సులు తీసుకుంటున్నారు. ఎందువల్ల అంటే వాళ్ళకి ఒక పర్మనెంట్ ఇన్కమ్ వచ్చే విధానం కనబడుతుంది, తర్వాత ప్రాస్పరస్గా ఉండడానికి అవకాశం కలుగుతుంది. కానీ మనకి కూచిపూడి కానీ ఆర్ట్స్ కానీ అలాంటిది ఎక్కువగా ఏం కనపడలేదు. కానీ ఇప్పుడిప్పుడు కళలు అభివృద్ధి చెంది ప్రభుత్వం కూడా దీన్ని చాలా దోహదకారంగా చేస్తూ ప్రభుత్వం కూడా దీన్ని ఎన్నో రకాలుగా దీన్ని ముందుకు నడిపించాలనే ఉద్దేశంతో తీసుకోవడం చాలా సంతోషకరమైన విషయం. ప్రస్తుతం కాన్ఫరెన్స్ ఈ విషయం మీద ఆధారపడి కండక్ట్ చేయడం జరుగుతుంది. దీనివల్ల కలిగే లాభాలు ఏంటని అనుకుంటే, ఎందుకు చేస్తున్నాం అని అనుకుంటే, మనకున్న జ్ఞానాన్ని వినేవారికి అర్థమయ్యేలా చెప్పడం, దీనిని ఎలా అభివృద్ధి చేయవచ్చు అనే విషయాన్ని మనమే కాక విద్యార్థులు తదితరులైన శ్రోతలు తెలుసుకునేలా చేయడం, విషయ సేకరణ చేసి తమలో తాము తర్జన చేసుకుని వారు చెప్పే అంశాలు ఎంతవరకు మనం కూడా ఆలోచించవచ్చు, ఆచరించవచ్చు అనేది నిర్ణయించుకోవడానికి తోడ్పడుతుంది. ఇంకా ఎన్నో విషయాలను మాట్లాడిన వారే కాక కొంత చర్చ కూడా జరుగుతుంది కాబట్టి వినడం, నడిపించడం కానీ కాన్ఫరెన్స్ వల్ల కలిగే లాభాలే. ఈ ప్రారంభించనున్న ఈ కాన్ఫరెన్స్ కొంతైనా కూచిపూడి నృత్యకారులకే కాక ఇతరులకు కూడా ఉపయోగిస్తుందని భావిస్తూ దీన్ని మొదలు పెట్టవలసిందిగా చిరంజీవి అభినయాన్ని కోరుతున్నాను. అనురాధ గారిని కోరుతున్నాను.
Thank you, ma'am. I once again warmly welcome Professor Anuradha, ma'am, and I would request her to address the gathering once before we start the presentations.
Can I sum up and talk at the end? Yes?
Yes,
Okay.
Ma'am, yes.
But as a prelude, I'm really elated and I'm very happy that I'm a part of this particular conference, especially because of my great respect and admiration to Guru Nrityajyoti garu, and also of course my love towards Abhinaya, because she's my Guru Putrika. Sita Nrityajyoti garu was actually instrumental in bringing that kind, giving me that basics of Kuchipudi in the Kuchipudi Art Academy here in Hyderabad. She was a taskmaster, and that's one thing that has made us stand even today in the field of dance, because foundation is very, very important. So I respectfully express my gratitude to her for giving me, the kind of direction that is needed at a very, very decisive time as such. Because earlier I was already trained a dancer with various gurus. When I came to the academy, the technique was a bit different, but she was the one who helped me out in getting a kind of a stronger foundation as such. So my respects to her, and then to the gathering here, whoever is participating. I see a lot of young faces. Now I am realizing that I have grown a bit wiser in the field. Less old, I would say. But so with this, when I see it, it has a great range as such, right from the history to what is happening in the present day context. So that is a big range that we see in these papers that are being presented, both related to history and also the technique of it. And it's interdisciplinary areas where you're talking about history. Besides history, you're talking about the sociology of it and things like that. So I'm quite inquisitive about how the presentations would come out, how it is different from what I have done at one point of time, and how far it has gone further is something that would be interesting me. All the best to all the presenters today. I would wait and see for gaining some knowledge from this, and also probably if there are certain critical questions, that please don't think otherwise, that I would be, as an academic, I would feel that it's my duty to point out, give at some kind of a pointers as such. So I'm making my notes here. So please feel free to also come out with any kind of new ideas that you have already put in it. And what is the time? I think it is 10 minutes of presentation time that is given.
Yes.
Do we have a discussion after this?
Yes.
How much time is given for the discussion?
10 minutes.
For each paper?
No, at the end of it, I think we can just gather the questions and maybe have.
Okay then. Yeah. So as I see it, will you announce, or should I announce the first paper?
I will announce, ma'am.
Yeah, please. Then I would hand it over back to the organizers here. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I wait to see some great discussion coming out of this particular conference. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So the first speaker of the day is Srimati Abhinay Nrityajyoti. Before that, I would like to introduce our speaker. Srimati Abhinay Nrityajyoti is a Kuchipudi artist and a researcher from New Delhi. Disciple and daughter. Can you hear me?
Yes.
She is the disciple and daughter of Guru Srimati Sita Nrityajyoti and Guru Shri P. Nrityajyoti. She has trained under the gurus since the age of 5 and received both junior and senior scholarships for dance through CCRT, Government of India. She was recognized as Grade A artist in 2011. She is empaneled in festivals of India and toured several countries through Government of India. I think Srimati Abhinaya will be presenting her work titled History of Kuchipudi.
Thank you so much, Aparna. I would like to share the screen. It is my privilege today to speak about one of India's most vibrant classical traditions, the dance of Kuchipudi. Recognized by Sangeet Natak Academy as one of the 9 classical dances of India, Kuchipudi is not just an art form. It is a living chronicle of Andhra Pradesh's culture, language, religion, and community life. Its story spans more than 2000 years, not just per se Kuchipudi, but performance as such, carrying within it the voices of sculptors, poets, saints, kings, and humble village performers. Let us begin at the beginning. The earliest symbol of Indian dance is perhaps that tiny bronze figure from Mohenjo-daro, the dancing girl of the Harappan civilization. But for Kuchipudi, the real visual foundation lies in the great sculptural panels of Amaravati, Nagarjunakonda, etc., carved nearly 2000 years ago. Scholars such as Kapila Vatsyayan and Anuradha Jonalgadda have shown us how these sculptures already depict codified postures, feet in kunchita, hands in suchi, heads tilted in graceful movement in adhogatam, all details that echo the great Natashastra of Bharata. Sunil Kothari even observed that the group designs in these reliefs anticipate choreographic patterns described as pindibandhas in the ancient treaties. From these stone sculptures, we move on to language. For Kuchipudi, the rise of Telugu language was decisive. Debates continue about whether Telugu derives from the Sanskrit Trilinga or from the Dravidian roots meaning as sweet as honey. But by the 11th and 12th centuries, Telugu had blossomed into a powerful literary medium carrying both Sanskritic and vernacular idioms. 4 manuscripts of Nandikeshwara's Abhinaya Darpana survive in Telugu script, evidence of how deeply the region was invested in performance can be seen through this. This interplay of classical and regional, Margi and Desi, laid the linguistic and cultural foundation for Kuchipudi. Andhra's dynastic culture history enriched this foundation further. The Satavahanas, the Ikshvakus, the Pallavas, Chalukyas, Kakatiyas had each contributed to thriving performance sculptures and art forms. Through inscriptions and sculptures, they reveal temples were not only centers for devotion, but also of dance and music. In fact, records from Simhachalam, Sri Sailam, and many others tell us hundreds of Devadasis and musicians supported by royal endowments. Religious changes too shaped the art forms. Vaishnavism took firm root from 1st century onwards. We find Vishnu temples at Nagarjunakonda, reclining Vishnu at Undavalli caves, Narasimha images at Guntur, Nalgonda, etc. The rise of Bhakti brought a new devotional intensity. As the Alvars in Tamil Nadu sang of their Lord, so too in Andhra the Bhagavata tradition flourished. Bhakti, as the scholar reminds us, means to share love with the God. This spirit of Bhakti would eventually become the heartbeat of Kuchipudi. Vijayanagara Empire then provided the great crucible. Its temples were architectural marvels filled with Natya Mandapas, halls for dance and drama. The Vithala temple at Hampi with its reliefs of Krishna lifting Govardhana, playing with the gopis or blessing elephant Gajendra reads almost like a storyboard for a Kuchipudi ballet. At Lepakshi, the pillars themselves seem alive when dancers and musicians carved in the stone. Court poets and rulers wrote treatises on dance and music, while Srinathas first used the word yakshagana, in which he blended music, dance, and drama. We see here the direct ancestors of what crystallized later as Kuchipudi. Now we come to Bhagavatalu, the Brahmin performers of Kuchipudi village. Oral tradition gives us the figure of Siddhendra Yogi, a saint, a visionary, perhaps half historical, half legendary. His story is told in many ways, how the orphan Siddhappa vowed his life to Krishna, how he composed the immortal Bhamakalapam, speaking through the voice of Krishna's consort, and how he trained only Brahmin boys to carry forward the tradition. Whatever the truth of the legend, Siddhendra's name became forever linked to the art of Kuchipudi. Patronage also mattered. While many land grants to Brahmins declined under the later rulers, community memory holds that Qutub Shahi ruler Abul Hassan, impressed by the performance, granted the village of Kuchipudi to Bhagavatulu in the late 17th century. Whether or not the copper plate survives, this tradition of patronage allowed the community to root itself in place and preserve its art. Over the centuries, Kuchipudi absorbed influences from other traditions, the Devadasi, the court dancer, the village actor, and many others. Pieces like Padam and Shabdam migrated from the temple into the dance drama and later into solo performances. By the 20th century, masters such as Vedantam Lakshminarayana Shastri Garu, Vempati Chinna Satyam Garu refined the form for the modern stage. They preserved its narrative spirit while also systematizing its pure dance technique, enabling Kuchipudi to move from village courtyards to global theaters. And so, Kuchipudi today stands as a remarkable confluence. It is at once a living village tradition tied to ritual and memory and a cosmopolitan stage art performed across the world. It embodies the Natya Shastra and Abhinay Darpana, but also the Telugu poetry and Bhakti songs. It carries the voices of saints and scholars, kings and temple dancers, Brahmin boys, and modern performers. Friends, the history of Kuchipudi reminds us of something profound. Dance is never just a movement, it is a memory. It reminds the sculptor of Amaravati, the poet of Srirangam, the saint of Srikakulam, the poet, the patron of Golconda, the guru of the 20th century. It remembers, and in remembering, it keeps alive a civilizational conversation. As we watch a Kuchipudi performance today, we are not merely enjoying graceful steps and vibrant costumes. We are witnessing 1,000 years of Andhra's or the Telugu speaking culture's history moving before our very own eyes. It is a reminder that art is not just entertainment, it is heritage, it is identity, and it is devotion. May the generation next inherit this tradition not only as a technique to be mastered, but also as a story to be cherished, a memory to be honored, and a vision to be carried forward. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker is Srimati Aparna Dhulipala. A few words about our speaker. Srimati Aparna Dhulipala is an energetic and a passionate performer of Kuchipudi dance who is dedicated towards her art. She started her training with Guru Ardhanadeswaram Venkat at the age of 8 and completed her certificate and diploma courses under his guidance. Later, she went on to complete her master's in performing arts, Kuchipudi, from University of Hyderabad. Aparna is currently pursuing her PhD in dance from the same university under the able guidance of Professor Anuradha Garu, and also continues her practical training with Professor Anuradha. Srimati Aparna will be presenting her work titled The Role of Stakeholders in the Evolution of Kuchipudi Dance Form, the 1990s and the Impact of Globalization in the 21st Century. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Aparna. Namaskaram. Is someone operating the presentation or you want me to?
Yes, you can operate it. And you can share your presentation. The share screen is on.
Oh, give me a moment. Is it clear?
Yes, yes.
Is the screen? Okay, so as Aparna already mentioned, my topic for today would be the role of stakeholders and the impact of globalization on Kuchipudi dance in the 21st century. So this morning I will take you through a short journey. We will explore what is globalization and who are all the stakeholders of an art form. And we will go through the defining moments of the decade 1990s and then look at the challenges that the 21st century brought in. And finally wrap up with few observations. So what happened in 1990s? In 1991, India opened its doors to the world economy through the liberalization, privatization, and globalization policies, popularly known as the LPG policies. Now, these paved way to the integration of economies, cultures, movement of people across the globe, and also technological advancements. So, what followed this was not just an economic reform, but it was a cultural training, it was a cultural turning point in the history of India. India started to experience a new paradigm, a wave of new opportunities, ideas, aesthetics, and artistic exchanges. And also nestled in this side was Kuchipudi, a centuries old tradition deeply rooted in its culture and heritage. So now, this shift was not just about the dancers alone, it was a complete ecosystem. It was also about all the stakeholders involved, like the patrons, the media, the singers, the musicians, critics, writers, audience, and all. So, all these stakeholders together foster uh, the art form and thereby the artist also. So, I think we all agree on this very fact that an artist cannot function independent of the society and the ecosystem. These are very much important and complementary to each other for the growth of an art and also the artist there. So moving on to study this interconnectedness between the stakeholders, the globalization and their impact on Kuchipudi, it is very important to understand how this decade of 1990s, which is seen as a transition period in India's history between the non-globalized and globalized India. That's the decade we are talking about. So, what happened was in this age of 90s came the age of satellite TV, more international festivals, more opportunities for global travel, and also global performance. And this was also the period where India witnessed exclusive national level festivals on Kuchipudi and also Kuchipudi Mahotsav. Now, this period also witnessed expansion in the Indian diaspora. So, just to give a perspective on, on the reach of Indian diaspora, the percentage increase of Indian origin population in the United States of America was from 1990 to 2010 was estimated to an approximate of 248.69%. We are not even talking about 100%, it's 250% altogether. So this gives us a glimpse into what is the expansion that has happened in that one particular decade. So this also meant, what it meant for the artists, for Kuchipudi, this also meant more and more Kuchipudi artists and teachers forming part of Indian diaspora, especially in the United States of America. Of course, the diaspora is there in several other countries, UK, Singapore, and several Asian countries. For this particular paper, I'm focusing on the diaspora in United States of America. Now, this shift also saw expansion of patronage from government and few private sabhas to multinational corporations, corporate sponsorships, and also fundings from NRIs. And also the audiences shifted from local or regional to cosmopolitan, metropolitan, and global crowds seeking a cultural experience. So media and internet amplified the visibility for all. Artists themselves began experimenting, bringing in contemporary themes and collaboration. The pedagogical changes were also witnessed through institutional support, form of universities offering several courses on arts, exchange programs, workshops, and all. And this, in turn, aided in the academic growth of the artists. So this was, in a nutshell, about the transitional phase and the changes, key changes that are to be noteworthy in the decade of the 90s. So now in this negotiations, what happened? What are the challenges that the artist community faced in the 21st century? So it was a global cultural economy, and Kuchipudi dancers were to adhere to the demands of global visibility by preserving their traditional vernacular. We cannot do away with that. So the major challenge that the artists faced was to retain the essence of the form, work within the technical framework of Kuchipudi, and appeal to the changed globally. This was the time where even the critics expressed their concerns over the Kuchipudi practitioners' inability to put in the required efforts, break the trodden paths, and cater to the contemporary needs. So, what did the fraternity do? The artists navigated through these transitions by bringing in new perspectives to traditional themes, thematic presentations using various dance forms, and also incorporation of traditional martial arts like Kalaripayattu or Chow, and themes bringing out sociological and contemporary issues on child rights, women issues, gender equality, and such. Then contemporary stagecraft and lighting were introduced. Multilingual and multimedia presentations were increasing in number. And also to cater to the diaspora audience and the urban milieu, there were elaborate introductions introduced to the performances to sensitize the audience on the context. So, on the context and on the story. These were some of the changes that were seen in the 21st century. Just to give few examples of these various themes that we have talked about, the various changes. For example, yajna, the sacrifice, the effort, the test. This was a production which explored the stories of Renuka, Sita, and Ambe, who are well-known mythological characters, but presented in a novel way, showing the strength of their persona and celebration of womanhood. So these and also Namostute Nari, it paid homage to the ultimate female cosmic power. So it is like presenting the known traditional themes, but to suit the contemporary times, to cater to the new urban population. There were also experimentations done with traditional themes again by using only music as the storyteller, devoid of lyrics. So only music was employed to bring out stories like Narakasura Vada and Kanna Charitam. And we have also seen artists using multilingual productions where they use the regional languages to get, and also alongside the other mediums, like presenting a bit of their production in let us say Kannada or Hindi or Malayalam for that matter. And there were also productions bringing out contemporary themes like Cry and Jagrati, dealing with AIDS awareness, Innocent Boys on child rights and child labor, Apas, an ode to water, catering to the environmental issues, The Soldier, Lakshmana Rekha, Rangoli, few such examples. There are many. I'm just giving a few examples just to give a perspective. So now, this was happening in India and also at the diaspora. At the diaspora artists, another experiment done was to bring in their native stories using Kuchipudi idiom. Like the Nutcracker. I mean, people have experimented with themes like Nutcracker and the popular fairy tale of Beauty and the Beast, renamed as Sundari Charitam and presented in Kuchipudi idiom. These experimentations were also seen. So now this adaptation to the changing times is fine, but it has also brought in certain criticisms and dilemmas. So the dilemma being, should Kuchipudi remain strictly to its traditional format or adapt to modern times? does fusing it with other forms enrich it or dilute the technique of the form? Globalization brought in visibility, yes, but also the risk of commercialization or commodification of art is not far. So and another interesting point is the reminiscence and recurrence of modern presentations feel eclipsed by the traditional numbers like Bhama Kalapam, Yakshaganas, and multiple Vempati choreographies that still remain and recognized as the identity markers of the form, in spite of we talking so many hundreds of new thematic presentations and new productions being done. So to conclude, today Kuchipudi stands at a crossroads yet again. Now globalization has made it a world art, appreciated beyond boundaries, yet its soul remains Indian. The challenge for the younger generation, I feel, is the balance to innovate without losing the essence, to modernize without severing its roots. Resilience, perseverance, tenacity, and adaptability are the key pivotal and central variables that hold the mast as Kuchipudi banner soars higher. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next speaker is Shri Pasumarthi Datta Garu. A few words about the speaker. Pasumarthi Datta Garu hails from traditional families of Kuchipudi. He completed his Masters in Performing Arts from the University of Hyderabad in 2019. He has been trained under renowned gurus such as Guru Pasumarthi Srinivasa Sharma, his father, Guru Vempati Ravi Shankar, Guru Pasumarthi Nrityajyoti Sharma, and Professor Janal Gadda Anuradha. Shri Kumara Datta is a recipient of Sangeet Natak Academy's Young Artist Scholarship for 2019. He has recently traveled to the US to perform with Kuchipudi Art Academy of the legendary Kuchipudi exponent, Guru Padma Bhushan Vempati Chinna Satyapal. He is currently working as Kuchipudi dance professor at Reva University, Bangalore. Shri Pasumartha Datta will be presenting his work titled Decoding the Structure of Pratinayaka Pravesadharus. Over to you, sir. I think there is a network issue.
Is it okay now? Can you hear me? Hello.
I think there is a network issue. Can we move on and come back to sir again?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah. Our next speaker is Mix Harsha. A few words about our speaker. Mix Harsha has been trained in Kuchipudi by legendary gurus Srimati Sita Nagajyoti Garu, Shri P. Nagajyoti Garu, and mentored by Srimati Abhinaya Nagajyoti. Under their guidance, she has published and presented their scholarly interventions in Kuchipudi paradigm across India. At the same time, Mix Harsha is a postgraduate student of English literature from Delhi University. Their particular area of interest is gender studies through the multidisciplinary lens in literature, performance, cinema, and history. They will be presenting their work titled Text, Choreography, and Emotions. Interactions between Jayadeva's Gita Govinda and Kuchipudi. Over to you.
Hello everyone, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay. Thank you, Aparna, for your introduction. I think, okay, I think I'll begin. Jaideva, that was it. Okay. So, Jaideva's 12th century Sanskrit text, Gita Govinda, is one of the most important texts of Vaishnavite Bhakti because of the way it encapsulates an individualized idea of union between the soul and the supreme. In a similar vein of thought, when we look at Siddhendra Yogi's Dhammakalapam, a foundational and perhaps a pioneering text of Kuchipudi performance, one amongst many, we see a similar theme of exclusive union between the soul and supreme being explored. Therefore, the kind of continuum that Gita Govinda gives rise to impacts a large genealogical product within the literary and performance sphere across different geo-linguistic cultural paradigms. What this particular project tries to record is a travelogue of Gita Govinda from its geocultural context in Odisha and West Bengal, Odisha and Bengal as a whole, definitely, and yes, West Bengal in the pre-independence history, to the locale which is attributed as the roots of Kuchipudi performance. By the roots of Kuchipudi performance, I mean not only the geographical location of the authorship of Bhamakalapam, but also the theo-philosophical movement from which author-composers like Siddhendra Yogi, Narayana Tirtha, etc. come from. That is, Madhvacharya Dvait philosophy or Madhvacharya Dvait Vedanta. Authors of two among many primary texts of Kuchipudi performance, as we know it now in our traditional Margam, that is Narayana Tirtha's Sri Krishna Lila Tarangini and Siddhendra Yogi's Bhamakalapam, are attributed to the Madhvacharya school of Dvait Vedanta or dualist philosophy centered at the Udupi Mutt because of the oral hagiographies and philosophical content that we see in these texts. Madhva himself is located in around 13th century AD, almost 200 years after the emergence and establishment of Gita Govinda as a Vaishnavite classic in the straight patronized Jagannath temple of Kalinga. What we see here is that both the thinkers, Jayadeva and Madhva, though situated in drastically different paradigms, are actually discussing a very similar line of thought that is of a dualist ideation of a relationship between Bhakta and Bhagwan. Looking at Madhva and Sweta through Kuchipudi's performance-based drama, based dance drama Bhamakalapam, and Jayadeva's poetry treatise Gita Govinda, we can see some very interesting parallels uh, in the presentation of Bhakti format or the Bhakti element. The context as well as a content of love in both the texts is highly dependent on the established, unmediated dualism between the Bhakta and the Bhagwan. This dualism maintains not only a relationship between the self and the supreme, but also an inherent distance between the two, which allows them to experience bhakti as distinct being, which is something that is very unique to Madhva's Dvaita philosophy. This is visible in the kind of solitary pining that Radha goes through when separated from Krishna in Gita Govinda. It is also a very potent theme in Bhamakalapam, where Satyabhama undergoes an intense sorrow when Krishna abandons her. In this sense, Radha and Satyabhama remain figures close in their construction because they both follow the same route of separation from their beloved and culminating union where they rule their lovers. This characterized trajectory showcases a dualist idea of individual experience of bhakti for the same supreme being in different time frames and different formats. Thus, both thought processes established Bhakta in the figure of the heroine and Bhagwan in the figure of Krishna, making a dualist relationship closer to realizing Bhakti consciousness among the witnesses of the text performance. Jayadeva's Radha assumes an exclusive right over Krishna's love, which is mirrored by Yogi Satyabhama, who quarrels with Krishna over him transferring her exclusive right to Rukmini through the Parijat episode. Their love is not that of an explicit worship, but rather a carnivalist embodiment of union in the form of an exchange. Radha's description in Gita Govinda established her as a heroine who reciprocates the sensuous nature of adolescent Krishna. Meanwhile, representation of Satyabhama in Bhamakalatam is that of a proud heroine who converses with Krishna as an equal would. The relationship between the Bhakta and the Bhagwan is humanized in these spaces, therefore, that which provide an option of fluidity between power relations, and the subsequent philosophical idea of bhakti is presented as a subjective allegory to be interpreted by the audience, therefore reifying individualism. Something that Madhava's dualism and Jayadeva's Madhura Bhakti aspire to through exclusive union of the soul and the supreme. And moving forward, these texts are largely, performance-based texts using different praxis to spread Vaishnavism. What is interesting is that the spatial distinction of the proscenium in which these performances took place. Gita Govinda has been over centuries performed in a ritualistic manner in a temple space, and Bhavakalapam has been performed as a community-based performance in agrarian society, famously outside the temple. This is perhaps because of the difference in the form as well as the intent of the writers and the movements from which these writers are coming from. Uh, thus, the performative aspects of both these texts give a larger socio-political meaning to both, wherein both Gita Govinda and Bhamakalapam give rise to important performance traditions of Odissi music, Mahari dance, as well as Kuchipudi performance, respectively. Now, apart from the philosophical comparison between these strands of schools, we can actually build a very potent continuum between these philosophical traditions throughout history. And that is through the junctures of tussles between the Gajapati Empire and the Vijayanagara Empire in the early 16th century. We see that Krishna Devaraya of Vijayanagara Tulva dynasty took over the forts of Udaygiri, Kondapalli, and Kondaviru, among many others, which were under the direct control of Pratap Rudradeva of Kalinga Gajapatis, the generational patrons of Jagannath Temple. Robert Sewell's work on the history of Vijayanagara Empire, along with travel accounts of travels like Barbosa, Domenico Pais, Fernando Nunes, as well as uh, uh, temple inscriptions at Mallikarjuna Temple at Sri Salem, dated around 1515 AD, along with Arulala Perumal Temple in Kanchipuram, dated up around 1570 AD, supplement to the fact that these points of conflict between the two states of Kalinga and Vijayanagara acted as hostile ground for interactions. These hotspots of conflicts are also the intersections between the two states, wherein through the outcome of these battles and the takeovers, it can be said that a lot of cultural exchange of ideas took place. This is particularly important because both Gita Govinda and Madhava's Dvaita were easily established philosophical entities at this point within different Vaishnavite schools of the respective states. So an intermingling of state-sponsored Vaishnavite ideas of bhakti is a very probable outcome. Furthermore, this argument of cultural intermixing is reified and concluded with the text of Shruti Ranjani Vyakhya, a commentary of Jayadeva's Gita Govinda by Lakshmana Surya or Lakshmidhara, a poet associated with the court of Tirumala I of Arobidu dynasty, last of the four dynasties of the Vijayanagara Empire. His reign was situated around 1570 to 72 AD. So the text of Shruti Ranjani Vyakha is dated during the same time. Barbara Miller, one of the primary sources that I use in my work, one of the primary authors that I use in my work, refers to his text as a shorter recension in her study of Gita Govinda, in her critical translation of Gita Govinda. A copy of this manuscript can still be found in the catalogue of Sanskrit manuscripts in the Government Oriental Library of Mysore. Therefore, what we can establish from this entire exchange is that by the late 16th century, Gita Govinda had officially established itself as not only a text but also a philosophical force of religious propagation within the land of Vijayanagara. Though the dating of authorship of Siddhendra Yogi's original Bhamakalapam remains ambiguous, or perhaps ambiguous to me because I have not actually, uh, studied in that direction yet. The influence of Madhura Bhakti that Gita Govinda comes with can certainly be seen in later rewritings of Bhamakalapam, especially with the most recent and a widely circulated rendition by Vedantam Parvatisan. So, to sum it all up, to conclude, when we look at history through a continuous process of developments and transactions between different geopolitical, socio-economic systems, what we can see is that even ideas that arise from Bhakti texts exist in different universes of antiquity are inevitably located within continuum or continuation. These continuations are synthesized with various interactions between temporal and spacious intersections between power structures that construct as well as sponsor different schools of philosophy. One such relationship is between Jayadeva's Gita Govinda and our very own Ramakalakam. So thank you, and I'd like to end my presentation here.
Thank you, Harsha. I would again like to invite Pasuvarti Datta Garu to present his work if his network issue is cleared.
Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. I hope I'm audible this time. Hello. Yeah, I hope I'm audible this time. And I'm very happy to share this paper in front of my guru, Professor Nrityajyoti garu. And I'm very happy to share this. It's in front of Sita ma'am also, because she is the one who trained me initially to, after having master in between, going to a university. And one of the happy moment for me is this topic is suggested by Anuradha ma'am during COVID time. And I have done a little more work on it, and I'm presenting it in front of her only. I'm having little things if I go somewhere wrong, or else if I have some other information, I'm saying apologies at the beginning. So my topic is decoding choreographies. Basically, I'm doing my PhD on choreography, so I'm more interested or attracted to the part of choreography field. Let me present my presentation. I hope it is visible. So the structure of Pratinayaka Pravesarvos is what I had a plan of talking about, but I'm talking about Krishna Pravesadaru also to have a better understanding of the differences what we see in a specific rasa. So as you're all are Kuchipudi dancers and having good connection in Kuchipudi, I just want to say my opinion about the evolution of it from a little in a just way. Performing from Shivali Lalu, the journey of Kuchipudi people slowly transformed to this thing called Bhagavata Mela. And then they came to, I think then it was mostly, we all know that then it was not just Kuchipudi, it was just a artists who were there performing here and there and kept on moving from place to place. The stories of Shiva, and those were Shivali Lalu, as according to the text what I have read. And then slowly when the Vaishnavism got more prominent, and then they slowly started performing the stories of Vishnu, Bhagavan, and then they got the title as Bhagavatars or Bhagavata Mela, you say anything. And the same thing, as I said earlier, this was my understanding, the same cult, the performers cult, who are there in the north, they were given the word Kathakars, because the same thing what we have done in the past, all the same artists who are saying, sharing the same DNA, are doing the same job, doing dramas, Natya aspect from Natya Shastra. They were termed as Kathakars from their language or regionality. The same thing when it came to South, it was termed or coined as Bhagavatars or Bhagavata Mela, as they're presenting the stories of Bhagavan. So that is how I thought. And then later, due to Mughal invasion, the Kathakas have changed their pattern of performing to Nritta part, and then it was termed as Kathak. And then later, these Bhagavatas who have moved from place to place because of the king's good gesture of keeping them in their kingdom, we have different ways of presentation with the same name, be it in Yakshagana from Karnataka, Tanjore Bhagavatamela, and Bhagavatamela from Kuchipudi. So this was the thing what we were enjoying, or else the hardship what they have faced is the fruit what we are enjoying today. And there are many, the foundation is laid by many legends who I can't name a few because it was not a one man's effort. It has a lot of people, blood and what they have sacrificed to the art. So this is in short about Kuchipudi evolution, what to my understanding. I don't want to go more deep. So the contributions made by Murthy Trayam, Chinta Venkatramaya, we all know he's called as Yakshagana Pitamaha. He's the one who have developed the new ways of presenting Prahalada Yakshagana. He has his own way of presenting, getting the things which are not yet have done before in the field of Kuchipudi were presented by him. Getting the properties of banana plantations around the placing them around the Narasimha when Narasimha is being getting on the stage when Hiranyakashipu beats the stambha with his gada. That was initially introduced by him, and then Vempati Venkatnarayana, Vedanta Lakshmanan Shastri Garu. These were the legendaries who have contributed much. And then we have Vempati Chinnasatyam Master. Till Murthy Trayam, it was a Natya concept which was more prominently done. And a small thing. When Padma Bhushan Dr. Vempati Chinnasatyam Master started his productions, what he have done is the term the Natya or the drama technique got changed to Nritya Rupakas, we all know. So what he have done is being well versed with the Natya Shastra, being well versed with the technique of presentation of Kuchipudi, and being a knowledgeable person in doing wonderful choreographies, he have started doing the new works which were not there yet. So he has done numerous number of choreographies, as we all know. So what he have done and what they have done in the past is what I am going to discuss today. Coming to very first, the Pratinayaka Praveshizaru, Hiranyakashipa. I'll be talking about Hiranyakashipa from three other characters I'm going to talk as the time constraints. Coming to Hiranyakashipa, we all know that he is a ruthless king. He have gained the boon of not getting killed in the morning or in the night or only in the evenings. So we all know the history of him. So basing on his characterization, he falls under Raudra Rasa. So what are the attributes or else what forms Raudra Rasa? From now, these are from the 11th chapter Charya Vidhana. The presentation of a character on the stage is taken from that by Master Garu. I'll say that about in the conclusion. And then the Gati Prachara. These two are the key chapters what I have focused on to develop this Raudrasa. So what forms Raudrasa? Or what are the main things which forms this Raudrasa? Not generous to his son, he
I think there are network issues again. Shall we wait? Okay, we'll wait for 2 minutes.
very sorry. I hope audible back.
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah. So, Vakparusham, he is threatening to kill his own son for not obeying his orders to worship him only, not the Vishnu. Abhidroham, trying to kill. He at last tried to kill his son as he's not listening his words, and then the last entry of Narsimha happens. The Gati Prachara. Here, Hiranyakashipa, being the king in Raudrarasa character, he comes on the stage by performing the entry with a walk leaving 4 tala gap in between his feet. That was according to the Nashastra Gati Prachara. So what is 1 tala? Beyond 1 tala is the distance of 1 feet. So by walk, if you see, most of us have seen, I hope we have seen it. I thought of presenting the video, but according to time constraint, I'm doing it. So when if you see the characters from the Yakshagana, Nindu Kuluvayunnade, Nikila Kirtigannade. During this, how the character enters, we all have seen that he just walks with the grace and with all his team on the stage with long steps. That is what we have seen, and these are from the text that were forming the choreographies. And next, coming to the Praveshadaru of Krishna. Krishna being with the rasa utsaha, so Veera rasa, Veera is with the attributes of utsaha. Things asammohana. The characteristics of Krishna are asammohana, a person who is not disturbed much. You know that being of a very stable mind, whatever it might be, he will be with a very big smile on his face, least bothered about things, and he'll do what he wanted. So that is what asammohanam is. And next, Atyavasanam. Atyavasanam means strong willpower. So Krishna is of the strong power of doing he wanted to do. These are the characteristics of the Krishna. In Veerarasagati Prachara, he enters on the stage with doing charis. As we know, we have 32 charis in number, combining 16 Pachinakas. He performs entry with a, it can be a jump or doing Bhujantrasa, or it can be anything, or indeed with Tikranta, it can any other Bhaumachari. But traditionally, we have seen Krishna's entry with dotting the leg and stretching the footprint and keeping it down. That is how the charis are taken in the designing of the reserve of Krishna. And again, this is from the information available from Natya Shastra. Coming to last, Shishupala. Shishupala, again, Vedarasa, he also enters the state with charis, what we have, again, the same thing. And he falls in this Virasa Gati Prachara. The costume of all these characters depends upon the nature, or else if he is a king, he have the things what he must be having, the crown, the body costumes and all, everything is designed the same way. But here the difference between Shishupala and the Krishna, where it lies, is here the little evil nature, he'll form his entry of his is of more in Arabhati Vritti, where you find a little the choreographic style of Krishna falls under a little of Kaisika Vritti, where you see more of grace in it. So these are from the text what we have, and there are a few examples what I have taken to my understanding, what I see, and I have been working on these things. But there is a scope, not only these things, as Bharatamuni from Natya Shastra, as he's saying, these are the not only things, or these are the not only the ways of presentation can be there. People, they have very respect on this, the text what they're following, and they have created a solid work where even today, if you perform the same piece, it has the same weight. It has the same acceptance. The people, and the people even today they enjoy it in the same way, because I feel theoretical aspects are together, and it is not it can't be there. So these are some works which are taken place of Shastra from my understanding, how these are presented. And I missed the point. When Hiranyakashipa present, from the artist point of view, in this Raudra Rasa, the main thing one of the key thing is the eyes of the artist. As we convey our expression to the eyes, here the eyes of the artist are in red color. For example, we can't directly get the eyes red, your eyes red. For this, there is a practicing Kathakali. They keep a flower in their eyes, which turns their eyes into red. These are the things artists do to develop the character or characterization, what they do. So this is the end of my presentation. Hope I have done it well, but there is a lot to there needs a lot of study more, because these were from the past. And today, from the recent work, I have watched one of the beautiful works of my professor, Dr. Nrityajyoti. The entry of Rakshasas in the entry Darvu, they also have observed the same thing. The characters, the Rakshasas, which are with this Raudra and Viralasa, they do charis, basically on the stage to show the power. So basically, this or basically Akasiti charis to show the power of the character. That's what I feel. So there are things where all these good what they do, they have this base knowing mostly they are obviously they being with the scholarly knowledge, they club the practical theoretical as to the practical. So the work of the great life, that is what I feel. And very thanks for Abhinayaka for giving the opportunity. Very sorry if I have gone wrong or something anywhere, or providing wrong information if I have done. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. The next presenter was supposed to be speaker Sasi Chellati, but she is having technical issues due to sudden travel. So we'll be moving on. Our next speaker is Srimati Veena Mani. A few words about our speaker. Srimati Veena Mani is a Kuchipudi artist and a journalist. She is a senior disciple of Guru Srimati Sita Nagajyoti, Guru Shri P. Nagajyoti. Currently working with the Times of India, she takes keen interest in writing about the IT industry. In her previous stints at Business Standard and New Indian Express, she wrote extensively on art and culture other than businesses. Srimati Veena Mani will be presenting her work titled Kuchipudi Today, an amalgamation of timeless tradition and borrowed gems. Over to her.
Namaskaram. Good morning. Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namah. My sincere thanks to my gurus, Srimati Sita Nagajyoti and Guru Shri Nagajyoti, for making me capable enough to be presenting here. A lot of what I've written and explored in this a particular paper comes from what from my experiences and what I have seen in the world of Kuchipudi, and also Kuchipudi through my guru's lenses. I call it an amalgamation of traditional gems and borrowed gems, because there is no way we can there is no Kuchipudi without the traditional repertoire, say the Bhama Kalapam or the Krishna Shabdam. Borrowed gems because Kuchipudi has become global, and with globalization we've seen a lot of additions. People from traditional artists picking up themes, picking up items from items that go beyond their own geography. If we look at the evolution of Kuchipudi, especially in the modern day, Vempati Master, a style that most of us here follow, can be considered as one of the pioneers in incorporating all these changes, bringing in all these gems. From him, one can easily say that individual stamps can be placed on items from his style, from his students as well. One of it being the Chandalika, one of it being Chandalika. Master Garu went beyond Andhra, exploring Bengali author Tagore's Chandalika, giving it, though he picked up from the Bengali text, he has given it his own character, brought it within the style of Kuchipudi. by bringing in very South Indian, giving it a very South Indian touch. Also, one of the things that we have to point out here is Dr. Vempati's choreography of Marakatha Manimaya in the form of the Tarangam, which is considered at par with the Krishna Leela Taranginis that we all perform, which has also laid the foundation for many other gurus to also experiment with the Tarangam repertoire itself. One of it being my own guru's choreography of the Tillana, Dr. Balamuri Krishna's Brindhana Sarangi Tillana, where Sita ji has brought in the concept of the Tarangam, not just in terms of just putting the plate into the Tillana, but also bringing in the aspect of the Panchanadai, which is very critical, very crucial to the Tarangam repertoire that we follow, the grammar of the Tarangam that we follow. Now, when we look at what else we've got from Dr. Vempati is Dr. Shobha Naidu, his student, choreographed a piece on Sai Baba, which is again in a way sure spiritual, but also another borrowed gem that that reflects how Kuchipudi has moved from just traditional pieces passed on from our from the traditional families. We were talking about how Kuchipudi has become global and how gurus have how they have adapted to what global needs are. One of our speakers here, I would like to point out here, Pashmat Kumar Datta, has presented the Bhama Kalapam in Malayalam. The dialogues in one of his recent performances has been in Malayalam. A very subtle point that we're making here, how we're trying to adapt to the audiences around us, and how we're trying to also bring in traditional pieces to more and more audiences, making it giving it a character that people around us would understand. Now, also, if you look at if you look at globalization, Delhi is now a hub for Kuchipudi. Here, where my gurus have also been teaching for many decades now, other artists, other gurus like Dr. Raja and Radha Reddy have made significant strides in adapting Kuchipudi to the North Indian crowd, especially because over there the audiences do not necessarily resonate with South Indian composers. So what Dr. Raja and Radha Reddy have done, they've also incorporated the Tarana. They were incorporated Meera bhajans, have made it a part of the Kuchipudi repertoire now. And if you take a step back, when we're looking at the evolution of Kuchipudi, Vachik Abhinaya was a critical part. Was how when we talk about Kuchipudi, singing while dancing is was very what do you call traditional, and was a critical part, was sort of a compulsory trait for Kuchipudi artists. Now that has also taken a different tone, has taken a different meaning now. Again, of course, one of the reasons being that it has spread to so many parts of the world where people may or may not understand and know the language, but also the fact that also the fact that not everyone is trained in music. Now we have what Vachik Abhinaya really means right now is to of course lip sync, but also how many gurus like my own guru have incorporated it by getting the artist to narrate the jati. We don't normally lip sync the jati, but if you look at Sitaji's Tillana, or or her Shiva Bhava Tarangam, one of the key aspects here is that we when we dance, the jatis on when before we do it on the rims of the brass plate are narrated are done to the talam and presented to the audience before we actually get on to performing the piece on the brass plate itself. Uh, when we look at borrowed gems, we've also borrowed from a bit from Carnatic music. The Taniyavartanam concept has seeped into Kuchipudi, uh, where we look at how the musicians can also be the stars. In any Kuchipudi performance. Again, we go back to Dr. Vempati. If you look at his Chandalika, in the sequence where Maya is dancing, evoking the evil spirits, Master Garu used only rhythmic patterns to bring in that effect. Sure, it was about giving an effect, but also it also gives the artist, gives the percussionist that limelight that they would often crave for, while being an accompanist in a Kuchipudi performance. Now, if you look at many other pieces like a Javali, Smarasundaranguni that my guru choreographed, she's picked up this concept from Dr. Vempati, and through my discussions with her, what I've got to understand is this also has to do with some very practical. This also has practical reasons in today's life where we do not have a set orchestra. No art, very few artists have a set orchestra that lives, eats, and basically breathes only that person's choreographies and that person's compositions. When rehearsals are limited to 2 or 3, how do you get the most of what an artist, what an accompanist can give you? So that is when that is how in that particular Javali, my guru has brought in the use of just instruments, where the Natuangam and the Veena player in this particular Javali, the Natuangam, the Veena player, and in certain portions the Mridangist together create the sequence, create the effect of Veena Dhanamal tuning her Veena, of Veena Dhanamal playing the Veena, and how she's praised for being impeccable about how. About how she plays the veena. Now, if you look at tradition, why I call it traditional gems, even there is some bit of evolution. If you look at Dr. Vempati's Purva Rangam itself, so traditionally, if you look at it, an elaborate Nandi was performed before before the actual performance. But if you look at the Vempati Bani, one starts with the Mani Paraku and then goes to the Purva Rangam or Brahmanjali item that all of us have learned, being the first item in the Vempati repertoire. Now, and also if you look at the Kautvam, though there is a traditional Kautvam, we've also borrowed the Vinayaka Kautvam, which is now very much a part of the Kuchipudi Margam. It is considered very much the part of the invocatory item that that all of us perform, and it has also given us the flexibility. This experiment of Dr. Vempati's has given all of us artists here the flexibility to choose our invocatory item instead of performing an elaborate elaborate Nandi and the Purvarangam, and then get into the main repertoire. Now, all in all, through my eyes, if I look at Kuchipudi, it has become a very global. It has got a global character. Artists day by day, as they see, what they perceive from what is there around them, what they have, or what they've learned outside the Kuchipudi village, outside the Andhra, Telangana geography has become a crucial part of Kuchipudi. Hence, it is a beautiful amalgamation of traditional pieces and gems from various other parts of the country. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. I would get on to the next speaker. Our next speaker is Srimati Priyanka Nirupam. A few words about our speaker. Srimati Priyanka Nirupam is an assistant professor at the Department of History, Maitri College, University of Delhi, where she nurtures both academic inquiry and cultural engagement. Trained in Kuchipudi under the guidance of esteemed gurus, Srimati Sita Nagajyoti, Guru Shri P. Nagajyoti, and mentored by Srimati Abhinay Nagajyoti, she has performed extensively across national and international platforms. Alongside her performances, she has organized lecture demonstrations and guided students, fostering appreciation of India's classical traditions. She brings her work to a unique blend of scholarship and artistry, making her contributions both intellectually rich and aesthetically inspiring. Srimati Priyanka will be presenting her work titled Evolution of Kuchipudi in Delhi. Over to you.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay. Namaskaram to the Honorable Chairperson, Professor Anuradha Ma'am, Guru Srimati Sita Nagajyoti Ma'am, all the speakers and everyone who has joined here today. I'll be presenting a paper titled Evolution of Kuchipudi in Delhi. This paper aims at finding information on the initial establishments and early presence of Kuchipudi dance in Delhi. This requires identifying key pioneer gurus, performing artists, and cultural figures who introduced and promoted Kuchipudi in Delhi. The role of major Kuchipudi schools, academies, and cultural institutions in Delhi over different periods have been taken into consideration. Looking for significant historical events, festivals, or government initiatives in Delhi that contributed to the growth and popularization of Kuchipudi have been looked into carefully. I've also tried to investigate how the teaching methodologies, performance style, and repertoire of Kuchipudi have evolved in Delhi that includes assessing any unique contribution from Delhi-based artists. The impact and influence of Delhi's Kuchipudi community on the broader national and international recognition of the dance forms have been analyzed. Also, with the current status of Kuchipudi in Delhi, including the active performers, ongoing training programs, and related new initiatives. I chose to keep the title of my paper, Evolution of Kuchipudi in Delhi, because its origin and development and its extension here in the capital has a lot to do with its root in Andhra Pradesh. Kuchipudi received official recognition as one of the 9 classical dance forms of India by Sangeet Natak Academy. This was a significant milestone that validated the dance form's historical importance and encouraged its preservation and promotion globally. The journey of receiving this recognition can be understood only by assessing the long history of unbeatable endeavors and struggles put together by numerous artists. According to Dr. Rumya S. Pucha, on March 31st, 1958, a young woman from the South Indian state of Andhra Pradesh named M. Kanchanamala was scheduled to perform a dance recital at the first All India Dance Seminar held in India's capital, New Delhi. Upon arriving at the seminar, however, she was informed by the organizers that her evening slot has been cancelled. Instead, she and her co-delegate, Dr. Appa Rao, a scholar and a political figure, were requested to present their lecture and demonstration as a part of daytime program. This seemingly a minor adjustment in scheduling initiated a series of events whose effects are still being felt today. According to contemporary sources such as newspaper articles and radio broadcast, Kanchanamala and Apparao felt insulted and accused the organizers of disrespecting and mistreating the speakers during their presentation. They expressed that their Telugu dance style, so-called Telugu dance style Kuchipudi, was miscategorized as unclassical or folk at the seminar. Kuchipudi, since this incident, has come a long way. It is in this context that it is important to understand the role of the gurus, the artists, and the key institutions or patronage that played an important role in shaping Kuchipudi as a classical dance of India and and it is the study of their pattern of connection to tradition, their style and techniques involved in the performance, adaptability, and improvisation in choreography that has helped Kuchipudi remain relevant and powerful means of visual expression in today's time at a global level. According to Dr. Sunil Kothari, the modern version of Kuchipudi is attributed to Tirtha Nrityajyoti, a 17th century Telugu sannyasi of Advait Vedanta persuasion, and particularly his disciple, a Telugu Brahmin named Nrityajyoti. Discussing precisely about the origin of Kuchipudi, he writes that there is a legend where Nrityajyoti, a devotee of Krishna, is considered to be the founder of Kuchipudi dance drama tradition. Well versed in Natya Shastra, he composed a dance drama and came to Kuchelapuram, the present-day Kuchipudi village. He gathered Brahmin boys and asked them to prepare a dance drama as a form of offering to Lord Krishna. He also made a promise that they would perform the play every year. In return, they assured him that their sons and descendants would preserve the tradition. Then there are, evidences that I have mentioned here. I'm not going to go into detail of that, which actually exemplifies how Kuchipudi evolved in Andhra Pradesh, and there are inscriptions and there are texts that narrates about that. I'll just skip that. Before I discuss the gurus who played a pivotal role in popularizing Kuchipudi in Delhi, I would like to discuss the lineage of guru who had set standards and framed structures of the dance form. Most of the gurus established in Delhi belong to this lineage of gurus only. In 1960s, Guru Vempati Chinna Satyam, Guru Vedantam Lakshmi Narayana, and Guru Pasumurti Venugopal were instrumental in raising the dance form's profile from a village tradition to a globally recognized classical art. These gurus were a part of the lineage of masters, including Guru Chinta Krishnamurti, who was shaping and regularizing Kuchipudi through performances, academic establishments, and the creation of the dance ballets. Guru Chinta Venkatramaya emerged as a distinguished figure in the realm of Kuchipudi dance and is shown as the Yakshagana Pitamaha, or the father of Yakshagan. Renowned as a performer, instructor, and principal narrator, Venkatramaya's journey began at the tender age of 8, portraying various characters including male and female roles. Later, he transitioned the role of Sutradhar, the principal narrator of Kuchipudi dance drama. He founded the Venkatramana Natya Mandali, the earliest pioneer organization dedicated to the training and dissemination of Kuchipudi dance. Notable production include Prahlad Charitra, Usha Parinaya, Sai Rekha Parinayam, Ramanataka, amongst many. Guru Chinta Krishnamurti is one of his most notable disciples. Vedantam Lakshmi Narayan Shastri was born in 1880 in the village of Kuchipudi, and after getting his training in Kuchipudi, he began giving performances at various royal courts such as Vanaparthi, Gadwal, Shalapalli, and Urayu. He had also got an opportunity to perform before Raja of Mysore, where the latter and the audience were left in awe of not just his performance, but also the variegated forms of expressiveness of Kuchipudi. Vedantam Lakshmi Narayan Shastri began introducing the solo format of Kuchipudi and went on to choreograph several items and laid down strong foundation for the current solo repertoire in Kuchipudi, and eventually he expanded the previously male-dominated art form to include females. Pasumarthi Venugopal Krishna Sharma is noted for his significant role in shaping the modern era Kuchipudi dance, along with the other Trinity era gurus like Vedantam Lakshmi Narayan Shastri and Chinta Krishnamurti. He not only taught but also performed Natuvangam and the Sutradhari part in some performance, helping to elevate Kuchipudi's status. He is recognized for his contribution to the preservation, popularization of Kuchipudi during the 1960s, a period when dance was gaining recognition. For his eminence in dance and contribution to its enrichment, he was awarded Sangeet Natak Academy Puraskar. Guru Chinta Krishnamurti was born in 1912 in village of Kuchipudi and was initiated into dance by his father, Guru Chinta Venkatramaya. He was the Kulapati of Siddhendra Kalashetram in Kuchipudi and was the guru of several leading Kuchipudi exponents like Sri Vedantam Satyanarayana. He received the title of Bharata Kala Prapurna from Andhra Pradesh Sangeet Natak Academy and Sangeet Natak Academy Puraskar for his eminence in the field of dance and contribution to the development. Guru Vempati Chinna Satyam was born in Brahmin family at Kuchipudi, Andhra Pradesh. He was taught by Guru Vedantam Lakshmi Shastri Narayan Shastri. He refined his art by learning from Sri Tadepalli Peraya Shastri and later by his elder brother Sri Vempati Peda Satyam in expressions. Guru Vempati's contribution was the revival, systematization, and global popularization of Kuchipudi dance. He established the Art Academy in Madras in 1963, developed a refined and elegant style of dance, created numerous innovations, choreographies, and trained generations of dancers, thereby elevating Kuchipudi, a widely recognized classical art form, both in India and internationally. He led his troupe on extensive international tours, starting in 1971, introducing Kuchipudi to audiences in Europe, North and South America, and other parts of the world. His efforts brought Kuchipudi global recognition and helped to achieve classical status among the other Indian classical dances. For his exceptional contribution, he was honored with Sangeet Natak Fellowship in 1967 and Sangeet Natak Academy Puraskar in 1981. He was awarded Padma Bhushan in 1998 by the Government of India. His mission to promote Kuchipudi is continued by many of his students who have opened their own institutions worldwide. Now we'll look into some of the pioneer gurus who played an instrumental role in popularizing Kuchipudi in Delhi. I would like to start with assessing the contribution of Dr. Raja and Radha Reddy, both of whom are an Indian Kuchipudi dancing couple, gurus and choreographers, and are credited with having Kuchipudi a new dimension without compromising in its traditional virtues. Dr. Raja Reddy's interest in Kuchipudi began in childhood as he watched performances of Kuchipudi Bhagavatam's. Both Guru Raja and Radha Reddy learned Kuchipudi under their Guru Vedantam Prahlad Sharma of Eluru in 1966. And in 1966, on a Government of Andhra Pradesh scholarship, they came to Delhi, where they studied choreography and other forms of art under Guru Maya Rao at Natya Ballet Center. Their performances were noted by Indrani Rahman and later by Dr. Karan Singh, Minister for Tourism, and Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, who allotted them a house in Delhi, and witnessing their performance during the celebration of Nehru's birth anniversary. They have been conferred with India's highest civilian award, Padma Shri in 1984, Padma Bhushan in 2000, and Sangeet Natak Academy Award, and Ditya Chudamani Award, amongst many other prestigious awards. Raja and Radha Reddy started the Natya Tarangini Institute of Kuchipudi Dance in Saket, New Delhi in 1976. The institute trains students in classical dance and music. This institute hosts the annual dance and musical festivals, Parampara series, as well as Shreyashi International Dance Festival, which showcases artists from across the world. This institute is a cultural hub that regularly hosts performances, workshops, lecture demonstrations in Indian classical dance and music. Some of the influential productions by Raja and Radha Reddy are Mahanatam, or The Cosmic Dance of Shiva, premiered at Shreyashi International Dance Festival in 2012. It's a large-scale ballet tribute to Nataraja, combining Tandava and Lasya, and backed up by extensive research and staging. The Live Tree was performed and publicized in 2004. Raja Reddy choreographed and presented work set to the poems The Life Tree and Vision of Life by APJ Abdul Kalam Azad. This was mentioned in India Today. Shiva Leela is a revived version of an older duet by Raja and Radha Reddy. Then we have Navarasa or Natya Rasabhuti presentations done in 2017 by the senior disciples. Some of the other productions are the large scale episodes from Ramayana, Krishna Leela, like Sita Swayamvara, Jatayu Moksham, Lavakusha, amongst others. We have the next guru. Jayarama Rao was trained in traditional Guru Shishya Parampara at Siddhendra Kala Kshetram, Kuchipudi village. From his early childhood under eminent gurus such as Sri Chinta Krishnamurti, Sri PVGK Sharma, and Dr. Vempati Chinna Satyam. After relocating to Delhi, established a Kuchipudi school called Kuchipudi Dance Academy, training students including Swapna Sundari, Meenakshi Shishadi, and Manashri Rao. The popular productions are Vande Vasudevam, or the story of Lord Vishnu, Karanavad, Harihara, which was mentioned in the interview on Sansad TV, Gitopadesha, which was mentioned in Didi Bharti, Dashavtaram, Omkaram, the cosmic nature of Shiva, which was mentioned in an article by Sahitya Kala Parishad, Shringar Lahiri, amongst many others. Guru Jayarama Rao has received several awards, including Padma Shri, the Sangeet Natak Academy Award, and the Delhi State Award, and Andhra Pradesh Samman, amongst many other prestigious awards. Swapna Sundari is one of the prominent Kuchipudi dancers of India and is known for a pioneering contribution in taking Kuchipudi beyond its traditional male-dominated roots. She is the founder and director of Kuchipudi Dance Center in Delhi. She was trained under Guru Vempati Chinna Satyam, and is known for his expressive acting that infused theatrical depth and lyrical grace into her Kuchipudi rendition. She is a recipient of Padma Bhushan in 2003 and Sangeet Natak Academy in 2004 for her outstanding contribution to Kuchipudi. Amongst many of her production, her album Janmabhoomi, Meri Pyari Meri Pyari, was well received. She has written books titled Vilasini Natyam, Bharatam of Telugu Temple and Court Dancers and World of Kuchipudi Dance, and Tracing the Roots of Classical Dance. Guru Srimati Sita Nagajyoti and Guru Sri P. Nagajyoti are distinguished Kuchipudi Guru based in Delhi. Sita Nagajyoti has been trained in traditional Gurukul system by the esteemed Guru Vempati Chinna Satyam. She is known for her performances and choreography, often collaborating with her husband Guru P. Nagajyoti, and has a notable presence in Indian classical dance circles, with her daughter Abhinaya Nagajyoti also being a prominent Kuchipudi artist. Guru Sita Nagajyoti has done her BA in Kuchipudi and MA in Telugu. Before moving to Delhi, she was teaching at the Kuchipudi Art Academy in Chennai for almost 15 years. She headed many dance workshops at Kuchipudi Village in Hyderabad. She had participated in many dance dramas like Menika Vishwamitra, Chandalika, and held and choreographed too. Guru Sita Nagajyoti moved to Delhi in 1987. According to her, one of her guru's friends and dance critic Manna Srinivasan introduced her to P. Shivashankara, then Minister of External Affairs, where later the latter's daughter started learning Kuchipudi dance from her. Along with her husband, Guru P. Nagajyoti, she went to perform on various platforms and occasions in Delhi and different places, and went on to train students at different important art centers like Andhra Association, Triveni Kala Sangam, Delhi Tanil Sangam. They also went on to establish their own dance academy named Abhinaya Pranita Kuchipudi Academy. Guru Sita Nagajyoti teaches and prepares her students for certificate and diploma courses as well, where all the students have passed with distinction in their exams. She has trained hundreds of students, and some of the notable disciples of Guru Sita Nagajyoti and P. Nagajyoti are Abhinaya Nagajyoti, Seema Vishwanathan, Papiha Desai, Kanaka Sudhatar, Jalaja Kumar, Amrita Lahiri, and many more. She has maintained, obviously, her inspiration has been Guru Sita Nagajyoti followed the traditional style of Guru Vempati Chinna Satyam and went on to do many more new choreographies of her own. Some of her prominent productions are Vamana Avatara, Mahishasur Mardini, Okapari from Annamacharya Kirtana, Shri Krishna Leela Tarangini of Narayana Tirtha, Shri Krishna of Narayana Tirtha, excerpts from Bhama Kalapam, Aura Shabdam, Vaniki Vandanam, Indendu Padam, Smara Sundaranguni, as Javali, Vrindavani Tilana, amongst many of her other compositions. She has written and published a book titled Kuchipudilo, Vritti Pravritti in Telugu. Her daughter Abhinaya Nagajyoti is a leading disciple and daughter of Guru Sita Nagajyoti and Guru P. Nagajyoti, has been recognized as a grade A artist and by Doordarshan for Kuchipudi since 2012. She has won regional and national scholarship from the Ministry of Culture, Government of India in the junior senior category. Currently, she is also engaged in doing extensive research and the fellowship that has been awarded to her by CCRT, Ministry of Culture, Government of India. She is an empaneled artist at SPICMECE, IRCEN, and Festivals of India Abroad of Ministry of Culture, Government of India. She has traveled extensively worldwide for performance and received several awards. Recently, she has choreographed Sri Ramachandra Kripalu Bhajamana, written by Tulsi Das, which is a mixture of Sanskrit and Awadhi language. She also went on to choreograph a production titled Triveni Ki Dhara in Hindi, written by Dr. Deepak Yadav. She performed this piece with her team at Prayagraj, the Mahakumbh Mela organized by Government of Uttar Pradesh. Let's look into some of the premier government institutions that have played pivotal roles in propagating, disseminating Indian classical dance. That includes Kuchipudi as well. Government-backed music and dance festivals in Delhi are primarily organized by Sahitya Kala Parishad and the Ministry of Culture. The ICCR and the CCRT also host many dance festivals, and they give scholarship and fellowship to the artists. I have a great detail of all the scholarship and art fellowships provided by these bodies. And I have also created a big list of, the awardees that these government institutes have conferred those awards with. But I'll not go into that detail because of the shortage of time. I'll just skip that. I'll just conclude my paper. From the above gatherings, one can infer that one of the most beautiful aspects of Kuchipudi is the way in which it has evolved over a period of time. We have observed that the gurus, while maintaining the traditional essence of Kuchipudi, have always experimented with the presentation, keeping in mind the audience and its relevance to society. New choreography done by the gurus here in Delhi have added much weightage to the existing body of work. Initially, what started as a dance from form dedicated to Lord Krishna now have come up with some of the most beautiful pieces being composed that covers a wide range of subjects that can be non-religious as well, for example, environment, gender, and other relevant issues. Guru Jayarama Rao, in one of his interviews with Sansad TV, has emphasized on the importance of composing pieces in Hindi ever since he came to Delhi for the audience. Now, some of the most important beautiful pieces being composed in Hindi language catering to the taste of North India. The choreography has been done keeping in mind the global audience as well. The genre of work that gurus in Delhi have come up with has not just popularized Kuchipudi at international platforms, but have created a legacy of its own. The contribution is an inspiration for all the aspiring Kuchipudi artists. While artists and gurus play a key important role in the dissemination of art form, we need to also highlight on the importance of the role played by government and other institutions. Art cannot flourish without patronage. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Can whoever speaker is on, can you please mute it?
It is Madhavi. Turn it off.
I think it's been muted. Thank you, ma'am. With this, we end our presentations for the day. I would now like to invite Professor Anuradha ma'am to address the gatherings and open the floor for discussions. Ma'am, your audio is on mute.
Am I audible now? Yeah. In fact, Kuchipudi, I would say, start with a statement that it's almost at a crossroad. Though we are saying that we are globally very prominent, doing a lot of work and things like that. This is not to be negative. I'm not being negative. But the thing is that we are at a juncture where we have to rethink of what our tradition has been and evolved, and what are we doing with it is something that we have to be very conscious about. This has come out in some of the papers also, where we are talking about, we are very happy that things are being, because of the very nature of the form of Kuchipudi, because it catered always to the audiences. It has been with people and they danced for people. And that's what is the most endearing aspect of Kuchipudi, because it has that beautiful nature of adapting itself to various situations. But that should not become a bane on us, where we lose our tradition. That's what is happening in some of the contexts. This is where I suppose you as dancers and scholars, you are both. Fortunately, most of the scholars who are coming up now are trained in the dance form and have imbibed some of the nuances that are there in the tradition. So this is where we have to think of what makes Kuchipudi, what is the tradition is all about. For when we were young, I'm talking about 30, 40 years back, Yakshagana was the tradition. Okay. Then now we see some of the papers talking only about solo presentations, because that's what they have learned, that's all. So what is happening is, over a period of time, that the reference points to us are changing because of the change in times and things like that. But at the same time, you're not able to define what exactly the tradition is. Does the language make the tradition? Is language a very important aspect of it? Because when we were talking about the Yakshaganas, yes, language is the marker then. I spoke in Telugu. I recited the Bhagavata shlokas, everything in Telugu. Language is a marker when we were doing our Yakshaganas and things like that. But over a period of time, of course, when we are talking about post-80s or 80s or itself, I'm talking about 80s itself, way back then, in Delhi, there were experimentations. They were talking about having Hindi as reciting the dialogues of Bhamakalapam in Hindi. all that was happening. I mean, I can bring in the context of Swapna Sundariji doing that and all that. Fine. This is because I have to actually be in a position to access. I mean, I have to give my access to the audience so that they would understand and do it. But how many of the dance forms are doing that? Is one question that I have. Because Odissi music, Odissi dance, do they change? Or I'm just taking an example, not as a marker as such there. But our Kathak dancers who are there in the southern India are doing those that are in other languages, in Telugu and Tamil. Okay, they can be only exceptional experimentations. Because Vempati Master did Srinivasa Kalyanam when it became so popular, very popular on demand in Tamil. He has done that with Tamil, saying the same lyrics being translated and done in Tamil language. Fine, but that is not today. I mean, no, several of you don't know about that. No, several of us don't know about that. That it was an experimentation done for a particular context. But will that become a tradition? The part of the tradition is a question. So I'm just giving an example of language here, because language, music, the technique that we use, the presentational aspects that we use, our costuming, everything becomes a part of our tradition and an identity marker for Kuchipudi. So this is where we should be. Of course, we do. I'm a person who would vouch for bringing in experimentation, but not compromising on the tradition as such. You do certain experimentations. Sometimes certain experimentations become so much a part of your tradition that they become, there are at different points of time in the history of Kuchipudi, we have seen that several new things were brought and everybody followed it. And it has actually marked the trajectory through which Kuchipudi dance has tread. From the Yakshaganas, Shivalila Natakas that you're talking about, but that's gone. I mean, you don't know what the script was of Shivalila Natakas. Probably it existed in the oral tradition. Then we talked about Bhamakalapam being a part of it, where Vaishnavism, Vaishnava. But whatever is done, whether Shivalila Natakas or the Bhamakalapam or Vaishnava themes that are being done, it's basically for Bhagavan that we are doing. So they are the Bhagavata Mela traditions that we were talking about. So then from there you have the Yakshaganas being adapted by great gurus, and then from Yakshaganas you have the solos evolving, and it is basically the tradition, the Kuchipudi dance dramas, whatever it is. It has gone through a trajectory, and we are actually, what is happening is that these trends are became so important in the history of Kuchipudi that sometimes the old are being replaced. Okay, you don't see Yakshagana being done by outside the hereditary families today. Okay, we haven't got that the taste of that. We are not in a position to do it. Why is that? What is happening to the pedagogy? Fine. From there, Yakshagana is Bhamakalapam. Everybody is doing Bhamakalapam today, but Bhamakalapam still becomes the marker for us. Though we have now on the platter some thousands of creations that have come in, okay, only Bhamakalapam becomes a marker for Kuchipudi. Krisha Sabdam still remains the marker of Kuchipudi. Why is that so? Is something that we have to look at. Why is that? Not that they need to be replaced. Alongside those, there should be also some which are significant experiments or significant things that need to continue to be a part of the Kuchipudi presentations. But one major setback that I see is that, most of us are very eager to bring, especially young gurus, or, when I was young also, we create new items. But alongside that, I suppose we should have a standard structured syllabus that need to be taught to a particular, for your students. And in addition to that, you bring in your new ones. In addition to, only after they get trained in that particular standard, so many numbers that they have to know, that, we should, I think, make an effort. Most of us, of course, because of the demands that we have been actually, there is a demand on us as young teachers that, that there is a rightful aspiration on the part of the performer and their parents that they have to get onto stage. Okay, all these are things that need to be navigated with care so that we stick. I'm saying the tradition is always like a river. It takes new things. It actually becomes, makes it a part and parcel of it. That's what is the major thing that you see in Kuchipudi. But at the same time, it should not actually impact Kuchipudi in such a way that you don't recognize the art form, whether it is Kuchipudi or not. This is one caution that I am trying to put into your heads. Your scholars, you already know about all these things. The thing is, this is something that we have to actually keep in mind as young teachers, scholars who are spreading out the art form. The second thing that I was wanting to bring in is in dance scholarship, especially what is happening in dance scholarship is that, of course, there are reference points to us. We have done a lot of, people, great gurus, great scholars have brought in a lot of evidence-based historical build-up is what is very much needed. Like, we have had papers which talked about sculptures, literature, and all these evidences. But beyond that, I think we have to, even if we have books written, there is a material, don't take it as at face value, please. I would give an example of Priyanka talking about that particular Kala, Sangeet Natak Academy, first 1957 conference, where we are talking about, everybody wrote about it saying that, it is demeaning Kuchipudi, it was not given the kind of status that, what happened during that particular conference is something that we have to get back to. I have made personal interviews with our Kanchana Malaji. I went to all these people, went back. Of course, I know it is when our what's her name? You have referred to her, Pucha. Ramya came here to Hyderabad, and I gave her that Jagruti articles which were talking about how Kuchipudi can be called a folk and things like that. But over a period of time, I would say that my constant probing into this particular event, getting back to the original people, asking, I went and spoke to, it was very difficult for me to approach Kanchanamala. I approached her because she left the art form. She actually started doing Bharatanatyam. She was away from Hyderabad. But post her retirement, she came back to Hyderabad. But she was not ready to talk to us about Kuchipudi at all. She said, no, I don't want to talk about Kuchipudi. But my trying to go to her, familiarization over a period of 4 or 5 years, I could gain her confidence and ask her one thing: what has happened? Of course, what Ramya has said is true, that she was given a lecture demonstration all of a sudden, saying that there is no evening program. But at the same time, it was not Apara and Kanchanamala together who have done that. No, there were different presentations. Apara has done a different presentation and Kanchanamala has done a different presentation. Why was Kanchanamala only called there? Because she was the first scholarship holder at the national level for Kuchipudi. That's why she was called. Why not any traditional hereditary family teachers not called? Okay, why were they not called for a performance or anything? So these are the things that we have to probe into, and what led to that particular situation. In fact, some narratives say that it was not called as, he just said it is a Bhagavatam tradition. We heard the audios of that particular recording of that particular session of Kanchanamala. He was presenting the solos, and one of the scholars there said that you are presenting solos. It is not the tradition. It is Bhagavatam that is the tradition. He's referring to the Yakshaganam as the tradition. So there was some kind of this kind of a give and take has happened during that particular period of time because she was asked suddenly to come and present. She presented the basics and the repertoire that she learned. And all of a sudden, because there was time, she was going over on time, they stopped her in between.
Resound
That
is
was also taken as something wherein they're talking about that, Kuchipudi is being, no, they have stopped the lecture demonstration in between because they don't like Kuchipudi. All these narratives have come out of that. I think we have to, this is an example that I am citing, okay, that please go to the primary sources. Don't take because Anuradha Jonalagada has said it, Kaplavatsan said it, Kothari has said it, that it is true. No, we may also have gone wrong somewhere. So whenever you're doing something, yes, as early, I mean, in the early period, I also borrowed a lot, read and referred and, brought as references. But when you are into serious research, please go into the originals. Go back to the originals. Your reading might be different. You may unearth something very different. Okay, this is one thing that as a person in the field with more experience than you, may not be, I won't say that I'm seated, but more experience than I would say that we should be cautious about. We should be very cautious about. Go back, check your originals, go to the primary sources because they would already give the primary sources from where they have got it. If you can lay your hand on that, go and read it yourself and give your understanding of it. So that would make you a better master and a better scholar. Okay. So with this, I have questions for each of the papers. If Abhinaya is going to open it up, or Aparna is going to ask about those, let us go that, and I will also pitch in and talk about this if they have any questions.
So if any of the audience member has any questions to the speaker or to the chairperson, they can raise their hand or unmute themselves and go ahead with their questions. Please feel free to ask questions.
Hello, can I ask something? So my question is to Aparna Di and Aparna Di and Priyanka Di. It's kind of a question to the both of them. Given that Aparna Di talked about the kind of impact that economic globalization and economic liberalization had on post or during globalization and post globalization, Kuchipudi. And Priyanka Di also talked about the presentation, the history of presentation of Kuchipudi in Delhi, a recent history. So my question to the both of you is that how do you think, to Aparna Di in a larger sense, that how do you think that kind of changed the audience construction of Kuchipudi as an art form? And to Priyanka Di in Delhi, extending this question to Delhi. So how was this audience constructed? And then what was the relationship between the audience and the artist, wherein artist was creating for an audience, and then audience was looking at the form as an uninformed audience, who's not that informed in the classical art of Kuchipudi. So what was this kind of a relationship? If you can reflect something on that.
All right. Yeah. So you were talking about the audience relationship pre and post globalization. I think pre globalization, I think the audience were more informed, and I think we had more rasikas and a very informed audience who were also connected very much with the culture and Telugu culture per se. And post-globalization, I think with the rampant media and multiple available options, the concept of going to a dance performance, a traditional dance performance itself has become very minimal. And also with the global stages and the huge stages where we have some 100 dancers performing, I think it has more, it started to create more of a spectacle and entertainment uh, rather than, you know, the spiritual aspect of it. So, and I think the global audience lack this in comparison. I do not mean to say everyone, but general audience, I think they lack this uh, connectivity with the uh, culture as such. This is my observation on the difference between the audience. Earlier, I think we had very informed audience, and now we have very casual audience who are there to seek some kind of, you know, cultural spectacle rather than gain a learning experience or to experience the art per se.
So you say the percentage of it is reduced.
Yes, the percentage of informed audience, serious audience, who understand the nuances of the art form, who are there to witness the art per se, has becoming very less day by day.
I have one. My question is directed to Mr. Datta, and how Professor Anuradha ma'am had just pointed out that, you know, our point of references to most of the papers has been so low, because that's what's been we are exposed to, and we are unable to address what actually the traditional formats have been. Taking that point in view, and you coming from a hereditary family, what is the pedagogy, and how do you deal with this teaching of Yakshagana or your traditional theatrical aspects of Kuchipudi that are actually the markers of Kuchipudi? How have you seen your family sort of disseminate the knowledge of the entire drama, not just the technique of just dancing, but, you know, writing also becomes one aspect, choreographing becomes one aspect. So how is this addressed in traditional families? And yeah, that's my question.
Thanks for the question, sir. I was luckily from the traditional family, but I was more lucky to get trained under who are both sides. Gurus from traditional families and people who are the gurus from not traditional families also. My what I have is from my childhood, I seen my dad's elder brother, Pasmartha Venkateswara Sharma garu, and my dad doing Kichakavada. So that was the first thing which I had in my mind from my childhood memory. So, and after coming home, I used to do the parts what my Pedanana, he used to do, and my dad he used to do. I used to enact those things, and slowly that is how the the drama aspect was got used to in me. And I hope this was the practice of all the hereditary people who are still in practice had the same experience, because I had the study of education and dance also parallelly. But in the past, it was only dance more. So they had more interaction with the dance from morning till evening. It was their it was part of their life. So that training is completely different. But when we teach, when I teach and when I choreograph, I blend the aspect of drama in the work. What most of the works, if it is not for suppose it is not Jadiswara or Tillana, but the other works, the aspect of drama will be more in the things what I choreograph. But when we teach, the detail of expression, there will be a more clarity, because we go with more language. As Anu ma'am said, language is the key thing for the Kuchipudi. without language, Kuchipudi, you can't enjoy the essence of it. So when we teach the meaning, the inner sense of the meaning, be it any Telugu who teaches basically, who knows the Telugu or else who has more clarity on the vocabulary, they can teach in a better way, because Abhinaya is the main thing in the presentation of Kuchipudi. Without Abhinaya, if you do, you can't take the Kuchipudi. And if I have answered your question, I have one more answer for the audience thing. Abhinaya, did I answer your question? Yes, ma'am.
Can I add? Of course, Datta is from the hereditary families, but I am an outsider, but was a keen observer of that particular village and the ecosystem that they were in. In fact, there are the training system, what we do, right from what we have understood from Vedantam Raghavaya and others and their works and how they have been trained, and Parvati Samgar coming to 30s, 40s, and then Sita Ramai Garu, Chinta Krishnamurti Garu, Chinta Venkat, I mean, all these families, when you see that, dance, Yakshagana was not, it was not taught, it was learned by experience. Okay. It was a part and parcel, as he was saying that, you know, the training, when you look at some of the primary interviews of these great gurus, they would say that it used to start early in the morning. And we used to go for language. They were trained in language because they have a Oriental school over there where they were trained in language, Sanskrit and Telugu. And then they were trained in music, and then they were trained in, they were given body conditioning exercises were done, which is called as the Samo as such. They had classes, and whichever guru from among those hereditary families was guru in whichever person is good in a particular character, that particular person used to be, I mean, asked to teach that particular character to, because basically they would look at that the individuals as persons who would fit into some particular characters and their talent and would get trained into that. That's what was happening. There was nothing like in an institution where we have a syllabus and do it and things like that. Because it was the ecosystem is totally entirely different from what it is today. What we see today after it has been institutionalized. Even when there was an institution in the form of Siddhendra Kalakshetra, and prior to that, the Vedanta Parvati Sangaru's institution was there, which eventually became a Siddhendra Kalakshetra. And you see that there is a parampara, like, you know, group of people like Raghavaya Garu, before he left Kuchipudi, trained a lot of artists, especially in music, in language, and he has that kind of a hold over the movement and language and music, all these things. So they would read out, the elders would read out the stories of Bhagavatam and other. It was a part of the Kalakshepam, wherein these youngsters are very involuntarily imbibe all these things. It is not basically teaching and learning. It's basically imbibing the entire thing into it. So I don't think prior to Datta's generation that anybody practiced in the way that we have practiced. Rattai Sharma Garu ma'am would know, Sita ma'am would know. Rattai Sharma Garu would come and then know just the structure of it, would come to master's ballets, perform in master's ballets, and then he would actually know the structure of it, like, you know, from which place to which place he would do and what he would do. He would learn by heart that particular verses that he need to do and the darus, and then come and do it. Every time it is different, whatever he was doing, except for the kind of, you know, blockings that are needed in that particular thing. So it is basically inside them that is coming out, because they are into it right from their birth, and they are very involuntarily imbibing all these things into them. That's what is the difference between a hereditary artist who was born and brought up in that particular milieu and ecosystem of Kuchipudi. It's different for Datta also. Datta is born in Rajamandri, probably, or Kuchipudi, but majorly brought up in Rajamandri. And from Rajamandri, he came to an institution later for a master's and things like that. When he came, I was very happy because I said, you are the one who has to actually, you're the torch bearers. I mean, but for the modern kind of, settings, you need to be also talking in the same language, like, that people would understand today. So I think, these are the things that actually made them very different. Fortunately for some of the art forms, like Yakshaganam in Karnataka, there still exist certain gurukulams and that kind of a malu in some of the pockets of the villages. But unfortunately for Kuchipudi, it's only Kuchipudi village that is there. And now we have a few number of gurus who are there still continuing the art form. So that is what is the major difference that we have. I mean, sorry for this bringing in this, but that is how it has been. But today we come learn for 2 hours a week or 4 hours a week and then go back. And also learning the item becomes more important rather than knowing about it, imbibing it into us. For instance, when we were doing Tam Tatadinda, the step, I would always say that, imbibing is what has been brought into us through when we were doing that. Sita teacher will never teach us another Tam Tatadinda until we do the first one 25 times. Next one will come only after you do this. When you do it 25 times continuously, by that time you have imbibed it. I mean, that has sat in your body. It is there. So that's how I suppose, the kind of veracity with which the training has happened and continue to happen is also now being compromised upon. I would include myself also, saying that, probably these children cannot do it. That's one way of, looking. So this is the difference between what they have learned and how we are all teaching or learning. Yeah, in addition to that, Datta was saying this.
Yes, ma'am. Regarding the question Harsha Singh have asked about the audience, I think we are lacking behind something where other art forms are doing. I'm very sad to say this. Even I'm currently in Bangalore. If I go for a Bharatanatyam, I go a lot for Bharatanatyam shows also. When I go for a Bharatanatyam performance, most of the shows are houseful. It is because of the marketing they do, might be, or the ways of production, or as the way of their approach in the new choreographies they're doing, might be also. I think that experimentation is lacking a bit in Kuchipudi mostly, I feel, because we are still with the. It is not like leaving the old or something, doing completely out of the box. It is something adopting to the modernization that we miss, I feel, from this 21st century mindset. What we have to build up something. No need to call it as some contemporary or something. It should be a little bit modernization is required from my point of view, because there is a difference, lot of difference. The experimentation that is happening on other fields in comparison with Kuchipudi, even if you say the new Yakshagan or also the new drama format in recent times, which have gone into the audience mode, is only Anuradha Mam's work. In recent past 5 years, I can say it with open mind, because the way you approach the work, it has to have some new ways of presentation, because the term dance got so broad. So we have to be something new to attract the audience, because audience are from the beginning, from things what I have heard, Kuchipudi used to go to villages. It is not like properly it is done not in Ravindra Bharati, or else not some proper sophisticated stage in Delhi or somewhere. It is to the villages basically. There, the interaction with the audience. If you see Bhama Kalapam, they used to talk to the audience in between the dialogues which are there in between. They used to talk to the audience. That kind of connect with the audience is missing these days. That is why it may feel, even today, if you perform Bhama Kalapam, if you perform Prahalada from the Yakshagana, that's what how man is. The same connect is still there. The people are enjoying the same way. The song has it. The musicality has it. Those things we have to carry forward, and the new ways of presentation should also be added. That creates the more connection or else the more depth, where the life of the art form, new work is not being happening. We are still with the same routine technique, what we have learned, what our gurus have learned. We are going the same pattern. Don't need to break the pattern, but add something new. Adding something new is required, I feel.
Okay, I think Samir Kumar Jha has a question. He has raised his hand.
Am I audible? Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much, everyone. I have a question to Harsha, Veena ma'am, and Datta sir. There is a common question to all of you, since I have drawn one very common line in your presentations. Harsha talks about how there is a union of devotee and God, love and separation, a common theme in Jayadeva, and then you come to Bhamakalapam. Veena ma'am discussed how there is new additions, borrowings from different traditions, and how dance evolves with new techniques. Tata sir recently mentioned how dance should be modern in its approach. The question is, what should be the responsibility of artist and dance towards audience? Should it be that I help you to elevate yourself, which is the religious philosophical theme, or should it be that I should make you aware of new themes which is happening, which might involve sometimes compromises with your parampara? So, what is the approach that a dancer and an art should take towards audience? Thank you.
Can I answer, Samir?
Yes, please.
Yeah, from my whatever I'm answering, this is from my way of understanding I have on that. See, it is an individual person's responsibility to attract or else to reach the audience more. I think it is not the art form that does it. See, art form has the core things, or how it can reach the audience, or else how it is. It was designed in that way. It is us. It is individual's approach. The way you can reach, the way your works, the way the work should talk more than you. You coming on the stage and explaining about your work is something. Than your work talking about your work talking about your ways of presentation is something different that makes you reach to the audience more close, I feel.
Should I go next? Yeah. I'll go back to what Anuradha ma'am said. It is as artists, it is our responsibility to ensure that there is no, we don't dilute the art form. Like how she mentioned, Sita ma'am wouldn't teach another step of Tam Tatadina unless and until you got your first step right. Right? So the same way now, if you have to adapt a Bhama Kalapam like Datta did, he did not, if you look at that entire performance, he did not change the Pravesha Darbu or the Madana or the compositions and the choreographies. And he stuck to Vempati Master's style. All he did was to introduce a language so that the dialogues, the context would be clear to the Malayali audience. Now, he did not tamper with what was already there, what was already fed to him. Now, if you look at any of the other, I mentioned Vempati Master's Chandalika. Now, Vempati Master's Chandalika, he brought in bangle sellers because the Telugu audience would relate to that. It was not part of Tagore's original work. But he did not tamper with the grammar of Kuchipudi. He did not tamper with the style and the music. So, as artists, for us, it is important to respect what we have been taught and not dilute it. If there is a certain choreography or a certain style, it is on us to make sure that we present it 100% and only add what is required to reach the audience. Maybe an introduction, maybe an explanation on what you're going to do, what is going to come, so that they are not caught unawares. Because this is because 80 to 90% of the audience is that we are that we are presenting to is not learned. We are not always performing for the sabha audience. We are performing for the layman who may or may not understand Kuchipudi. The fact that Kuchipudi is not as accepted as Bharatanatyam, we have to first accept it and add our 2 cents to get the audience attention. The rest of it has to be traditional, and the rest of it we cannot tamper with it.
Can I go ahead? I think I'll take from the arguments that Dattaji, Veenaji, and Anuradha ma'am have given a lot. And uh, I mean, it's of course it's true. It's the way that I understand culture, the abstract, larger idea of culture is that it exists on the intersections of language, religiosities, dietary practices, and so many more modes of production within the frameworks of time, space, and geographies. But at the same time, taking literature, performance, and music, these are kind of the driving markers of culture when we look at culture as a practical phenomena. So when we're looking at the manifestations of this idea of culture, and I'm talking in a very larger sense, I'm not just talking about Kuchipudi right here. I'll come to Kuchipudi later on. When we're looking at the larger idea of manifestation of culture, I think that also comes with not, of course, art is not something that you know does things on its own. It's the vessels, the artists who kind of take art to the audience. But at the same time, artists also need to be enabled with a certain sense of course, patronizing, of course, support. At the same time, we also need to kind of have we also need to, as Dattaji said, we also need to have an interactive basis with an audience. So I think that is something that at least the kind of performances that I have visited, which have not been the experimental ones, uh, that is something that I have seen missing. And actually, I'll borrow something from Aparna ma'am's presentation, saying that uh, because this, performance of dance, any dance, has become a spectacle of excess. This is the term that we use in film studies, which is essentially saying that, it's not something which is an experience anymore. It's not an experience. It's something which is just an abstract behind the screen sort of a thing. So even when we're watching a performance, it's almost as if we're not interacting with the performance, we're watching it from behind the screen. So this turning of a dance performance into a spectacle of excess because of the kind of audience demographic that has been constructed post globalization, I think that is also somewhere also uh, uh, responsible for the kind of discord that has been taken away from the dancer and the audience relationship. So what can we do now? So now I come to Kuchipudi. I think Vachika Abhinaya is one of the most important things that we have in our tradition. And we need to, and taking from Anuradha ma'am's argument, Vachika Abhinaya and, traditions which are sort of the essence of Kuchipudi, we need to take these and experiment with them a little more in a way that we are able to connect with the audience on a more personal, humane level, and not just as people who are buying tickets or who are coming to, or just numbers of these many numbers of people who are coming to watch our performance. So I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I have one question. Now, this comes from my conversations with young people around my age of 23, 24, 25. They always say that Kuchipudi seems inaccessible in terms of either it being a bit intimidating, and not just Kuchipudi, any traditional art form, it seems it is a bit intimidating or rather economically unfeasible for a lot of people. So, and especially with dance being accessible through social media, while traditional art form not being as accessible. And at the same time, what they're seeing is the commodification of art form via the new stunts. I don't know how to say this, the Guinness records of dancing 280 hours or how many hours they are dancing. So, how do you engage with younger generations of my age? How do I tell them that dance is accessible? I mean, how should I ask them to invest either monetarily or physically or emotionally into art form? Is my question to all the speakers in general.
Okay, can I start? I have a since I have dual profession, dance and journalism both go together. Uh, so because I have journalism as a career, I don't have to be in a rat race to perform. I'd rather give my art some time, as much time as I can, and take up what is possible. It makes monetary sense because I'm able to pay my bills, and uh, and uh, and give whatever time valuable, have value for the art. The other day I was having my class with Sita ma'am, and one of the earliest items that I learned, Vasanta Swarajati, she mentioned, there are mistakes, I'm going to correct you, then we will proceed. So I can afford to give that time, and I'm very I'm fortunate that I can give that time. I don't have to necessarily grapple with rehearsals and practice more than what my body and my mind can take. Uh, so I would always tell people that have something that pays your bills, and let art be for the soul, so that there is little dilution. It can be something you can have your other profession can be allied to art, because there's you can being a professional teacher, being a professor, in an institution will help you pay your bills, and you can also focus on what value you want to add to your art.
If I may add, I think this struggle is always there, not just with dance, so across all the arts, especially in this current generation. I mean, I am reminded of a recent post by none other than T.M. Krishna, talking about the opportunities that are becoming very meager for the classical vocalists. So I think it's not just dance, this balancing act and this struggle with the economies is always there with any art. I think it's ultimately it's your passion that will lead you where you want to be. And if you are thinking of pursuing any art form, to become a performer alone, a popular performer alone, I think that perspective changes a lot of things. And just to add to the audience thing, connect with audience and all. Samir brought up some interesting point. Uh, See, but I think overall, from what I hear, is the responsibility is more on the artist rather than the entire society. That is what has changed a lot. So the artist, do we create art for the sake of art, or do we create it to educate the audience? When it comes to the themes, when we say contemporary, is it a tool of education, another form of education or sensitization tool that is there, or are we creating for the sake of art, enrichment of the art? How do we look at it? The onus is again on the artist, and again the cultural connect. Now, if you see, irrespective of the language, all these traditional art forms are rooted deeply in the mythology and divinity, traditionally speaking. So when the society has undergone so many changes, how many of the younger generations know let us take some popular stories of Ramayana and Mahabharata, the very basics I'm talking about, in comparison to the earlier generations. So again, the onus is on the artist to educate them on the basic cultural aspects that were given at a point of time. Now it is again the responsibility of the artist to educate the audience, cater to their needs, sensitize them on the culture where we have lost the connect. So I don't know, with so many responsibilities, what is the artist expected to do is a bigger challenge.
I have a few observations here. It's a very important question that whoever has raised this question, it's a very, very important question. Are we dancing for the audience? Or are we dancing for ourselves? These are the two things there. In fact, the younger generation that I know of is my daughter. She is brought up in a very traditional setup at home. We have puja, everything at home. And of course, because of my dancing now, a lot of music, that is traditional goes in here. But she loves to hear to Billie Eilish and somebody like Conan Gray and things like that. Who introduced her into that? She says it resonates with what I want. It's something which I resonate with, I can actually enjoy. That's why I listen to them. We never introduced her to those things, but she listens to these. I'm bringing this because we are in a position, we are failures because we are not able to resonate with the basic resonation that you're talking about, the rasanubhava, we are not able to give, probably. That's one thing. But the other thing is, why are we dancing? First of all, as choreographers or dancers and things like that, we should be convinced, we should enjoy our art. Then only I can spread it out or give it to my audience. It's not because I want to experiment that I am doing an experimentation. Unfortunately, this has seeped in because we were doing a lot of context-based presentations. Like for instance, there is Durga Puja. Earlier in Durga Puja, maybe one item will be that. Or Vinayaka Chavati. For Vinayaka Chavati, we never had, except for that Kautva, we never had items that are related to Vinayaka. I'm talking about the other corporate events where we are asked to create something in context that resonates with that particular context. This context-specific presentations, which has, I think, started with theme-based presentations with Golden Gates Festival, where they started with 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers they have taken. And then that was called a Swarna Sankhya Festival, where they started with the 4 is Chaturveda, 5 is Panchabhutas, 6 is Shatrutus, 7 is, Saptagiri and Saptatalas, 8 is Ashta. I don't know whether you were all born at that particular point of time. This is one major experimentation that happened, wherein stalwarts from each of the dance forms were brought in to experiment with this particular number. Okay, that was a festival that went on for almost 3 to 4 days. That was called as a Swarna Sankhya Festival. So context specific, we are trying to bring in some things which are given to us, trying to go around that. Like there is a Batukamma celebration, do something around Batukamma. There is Telugu Formation Day Festival, Telangana, do about Telangana Talli and Telangana culture. Or, talk about Andhra culture. All these things where we are actually, we are not doing because it prompts us to do. We are doing because we have to survive and we have to be fitting into that particular context. All of us very intelligent choreographers are trying to now do a lot of Ramayanam. Why? Why is that we are taking Ramayanam now? Because that has a kind of a demand. Earlier, Ramayanam was not done as much. Rama stories were not done as much. So I would say that, of course, you have to negotiate between these two if you have to survive as an artist. Okay? You have to negotiate, but at the same time, don't compromise on something that is inside you. That it has to, first of all, you should be happy with the theme that you are taken, or you should be happy with you should resonate with that particular lyric that you have picked up to do, or to perform or to choreograph, or the theme that you have taken. I think that will definitely comes through your choreography. If you are totally convinced, it comes through your choreography. It will definitely reach your audiences. Of course, we are basically compromising upon, besides choreography and our own dancing, music is very, very important. Many a times, dance music falls flat. We sometimes, because many great musicians will say, no, we don't want to dance for, sing for dancing and things like that. But music is somewhere we are compromising upon. I suppose because we have to negotiate and bring these all together, as others were also saying that, basic standard, you have to have that conviction that I am doing it because I am convinced that this has a kind of a standard that will actually go a long way in reaching your audience too. Like, word will go around that this is a good work, that people are looking at it and things like that. Not for the sake of, no, of course, we have been through all these things. As artists, we have to go through this kind of a grilling, as Aparna was saying, it is always there for us. Okay, but how did our elders, you have to take probably examples from that. Because the kind of response that I get from youngsters for one of the productions that I have done recently, gives me that kind of a confidence that if you're doing with some kind of a conviction, you can reach your younger audience too, is something that I have learned through my experience. So this is one thing. So going back to, shall I go to the questions are over? Shall I go to the papers? Yes. I have a very few comments. Yes.
Are there any more questions?
I have one answer for Aparna. Sorry, ma'am. Sorry to interrupt in between.
Yes.
You have asked why this is being so costly. Something that was your question. Dance being. Is there a fun part? What I have seen. Okay. So I'm from this Telugu state. Okay. When the fees is for 500, there were good number of people. When there were 1,000, the people are less initially. Okay, because it is a little bit costly affair. And slowly, when people got started this habit of attracting to something which is costlier. Oh, if the fees is 1,000, so they'll teach good or bad, nobody knows. So fees is good, so they might be teaching good. Let us go to them. And if somebody is teaching for 2,000, they started running to them. So it was people also the part because of which this it became a bit costlier. Also, one of the reason is learners also. Mindset of people who are learning. That is one thing. And the other thing is it is costly because no orchestra people will come for why should they have to understand your problem. They are keeping their time for you, so they will come at a cost. So all these things, to bear all these things, the art is costly, good or bad, or for its survival it is costly. So that was my thing.
Yes, thank you. Any more questions? Okay, I think Anuradha ma'am can begin with the comments on the papers.
A few comments, not many. In fact, when Abhinaya was presenting she has given a kind of a proper, a proper prelude. She has given that backgrounder for the entire discourse that went on later in the presentations. But I would say for Kuchipudi, we were talking about this is a backgrounder for dance in the Andhra Telugu countries. Like, you're talking about Natya Shastra being reflected in the sculptures or in the other literatures or anything like that. It is only the medieval period that you see the mention of, when you talk about Yakshagana being mentioned in Srinatha, then this is as late as 15th, 14th centuries. So we would say that, there is a background, there is a cultural milieu that is being there, where dance was practiced. Dance was seen as one of the important art forms in the Telugu speaking areas. That's what we cannot directly say that this is a background, and not directly link this to Kuchipudi, because Kuchipudi much more is a medieval, definitely a medieval period art form that I see, because historically we're not in a position to directly go back to the 2nd century or anything like that. So, but I liked something that she was saying, that dance is a memory, not just a movement. That's a very important thing. I think we were talking about only all these things. We are talking about all these things coming together. What is dance? So I think when she's talking about the history and identity, it's an identity marker. Especially Kuchipudi becomes an identity marker for all of us Telugus, especially after the formation of Andhra Pradesh. History, several things do talk about it, and also they support this kind of an argument. Then Aparna was talking about impact of globalization, and also about several experimentations. But I still have the question. I already had that question with her earlier too. Like, why is that the only old items like our Bhava Kalapam or remain the markers for us today? We say tradition means you have to have a traditional presentation means you have to do Bhamakalapam. Okay. They become popular and they are enjoyed by one and all. See, for instance, if you do Neelamegha Sharira, irrespective of your audience, I don't know what your experience is. I'm sure, like even when I was young, when we were performing in some major festivals in Delhi or in Bombay, and which are non-speaking North Telugu areas, by the time it was end of that, by the time you finish it off and you're going, there is an applause that comes in. Not that they understand the lyrics of it, but Neelamegha Sharira especially is one such very popular performances. So is language so much an important change of language? Are they not understanding the language? There is, I think, is not a we as performers need to be in a position to communicate what is there in that lyric. That's our responsibility, not change the language as such. Okay, so I think I'm still having this question. You have to probably probe into this, like why these still continue to be the markets of Kuchipudi, not others. You have hundreds of other choreographies that have come up post Bhamakalapam. Is it because it is projected that way? But is it because of the structure? Because of what it is? When you talk about the essence of it, as Harsha was talking about, talking about how this kind of, Dvaita, Advaita, or coming into this, in where Satyabhama replaces Radha over there, and where the connection between the God and the Jiva and the Paramatma is that what it is? That is appealing to them is something that we have to probably probe into. Okay. Then, of course, Pasumarthi Praveshadaravos, why did you take Krishna? I did not understand. When you're talking about the Pratinalikas, I would, there was some lag in between. I could not understand when you're talking about Natyashastra somewhere. I don't know whether it happened with the others. He was talking about Gati Pracharas and all that. Those things I have missed because the audio was not clear over here. So you took Pratin to compare it with Pratinayika, the Nayaka?
Veera Rasa, ma'am, with Veera Rasa, because Krishna also has that aspect of Veera Rasa in between. I compared the nature of him, ma'am.
Huh?
The Pravesh Daru, ma'am, like the nature of Krishna.
Which Pravesh?
Krishna's Pravesh Daru with Shishupala, because both have this Veera Rasa in common.
So you're talking about Rukmini Kalyanam of Master, Venkata Master.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. Yes.
So because for Krishna, when you say Krishna in Bhamakalapam, I have Rajivakshudu coming in. So immediately I said, where is this? Because we understand Krishna in a very different way altogether. Okay, you're talking about Rukmini Kalyanam. Maybe that's where I have, I suppose, probably you're talking about Raudra Rasa, Veera Rasa, Utsaha and all that. Of course, you need to probably, when we see it more visually, we'll be able to connect with it more. Rather, that's what I was thinking. Absolutely. But anyway, I know that, you have limitations on time and things like that. I was thinking, that, you're talking about Atikshepa, Avamana, Yakshap.
Avamana,
Avamanan. Okay. Abhidroha and things like that. These are the characters, the things that you have taken from Natyashastra. This is what I missed actually.
Yes, ma'am. These are taken from Natyashastra.
Specifically, Natyashastra talks about these things.
Yes, ma'am. Asamohana, Atyavasanam, all these things were taken from Natyashastra.
It's a good attempt, I suppose. I haven't. This has to be taken further, much more in detail. Paper. I hope the paper has all these things as such. Okay, fine. Then the other thing that the other was Harsha's paper. She was talking about Jayadeva's Gita Govinda and then Bhamakalapam. The way she brought it is very interesting. But have you ever referred to one work from Orissa, which is Parijataharan, by Umapati? Because Have you heard about it, read about it?
Ma'am, I've read the background of Parijata Paharana in the works of Harshita Kamath, but I've not read the actual text.
Umapatis of Bharupur. He's the first one. He's supposed to be the first one. I haven't also probed much into this particular aspect, but the thing is, he's the first one to have brought this character of Satyabhama. And that is happening in Orissa region itself is something which is intriguing for me. Because Jayadeva's Gita Govinda is a product of that place. But of course, Jayadeva's Gita Govinda and the influence of the Telugus, because Padmavati is supposed to have gone from the Telangana area along with a group of others, as a wedded wife of Jayadeva, is something that is there. That has some kind of a historical proofs as such, saying that she has gone from there and things like that. See, this can be, they being regions which are neighboring regions, there is a lot of give and take that happens between the different cultures which are in the same region and things like that. I suppose this would also give you much more detailed, some more strength to what you are trying to bring out. Because from Jayadeva, later is Umapati of Barhut, and then you have the Bhama Kalapam of Siddhendra, or of the Telugu country. And of course, Bhama Kalapams, there are hundreds of Bhama Kalapams, not only Kuchipudi. In Turpupagada tradition, there is Bhama Kalapam. In the Devdasi tradition, there is Bhama Kalapam. And you have Bhama Kalapam being written by Tarigonda Vengamamba. Tarigonda Vengamamba's Bhama Kalapam is also there. There are several Bhama Kalapams as such. Of course, you're just talking about the essence of it, where the basic string of Jiva and Paramatma, or how the human is trying to reach the God Almighty. Probably the Umapatis will bring much more. I suppose you may to look it in a different way. Probably that might help. That's what was the first thing that came to my mind. When Veena Sri Veena was presenting, she was basically talking about how we have taken different things from been open to take different things from different practices as such. I was a bit uncomfortable with the borrowed term. I think a better term would be good, because we are not just borrowing. We are actually being inspired by those and making. See, for instance, I'll give you an example of Kuchipudi, when you're talking about several experimentations that have happened. We are actually being inspired by something that was happening, and then made it our own, made it a part of our creative process as such. This happens with all art forms. It's not just Kuchipudi, but Kuchipudi is much more because of its public presence becomes more evident whenever they're taking something and then doing it. So I was just thinking whether this term can be probably replaced with something else that would be like, we are inspired by certain other things that are happening, and this art form, which is very open for adaptations, which is a part and parcel of a public performance. Like a traditional theatre form, it was originally. So it has adapted. For instance, Geeta, your Narayana Tirtha Tarangas comes like that, because in the Ongole and Krishna district and that areas, they were very popular in the Bhajana Sampradaya. And Adhyatma Ramayana Kirtanas were very popularly sung by each household ladies and things like that. So that which is popular and that would strike a bell, ring a bell in the audience mind, were the ones which were first taken for choreographies. Because familiarity is something that would draw you into it more deeper. If you are familiar with it, if you are entirely not familiar, you can't definitely be drawn into it. But if you hear, oh, this song I heard somewhere, or maybe when I was young, or somebody was singing this song, and then you are more familiar with it and you're drawn into it. That's why more popular kind of songs which are popular with the in the society at that particular point of time were the ones which were actually taken into. like the Padyas also, when they were doing the Natakas, Harishchandra and others, the Yakshaganas, they took a lot from the Padya Natakas of that particular period of time and sang them out. So these were the things that were picked up and inspired. I mean, they took the inspiration from this. Some of them were in toto adapted into them. That's what has happened. So this is of course, I'm just a suggestion. It's up to you as a scholar to take it. Because when you're taking all this, I was just thinking, is Kuchipudi a mishmash of all this that is coming together? So we should not draw your reader into that kind of an understanding. That's what I was just thinking. Of course, Priyanka Nirupam was talking about Delhi and its development of, the establishment and development of Kuchipudi. It's not, I mean, it evolved over a period of time. First, it got established and, got spread over in Delhi. I think she has missed on very important two major dancers when she's talking about it. In Delhi, when you're in the context of Delhi, when you're talking about Indrani Rahman, she was the first one to have introduced your Delhi audience to the items of Kuchipudi. Korada Narasimha Rao went all the way and then trained her. Indrani Rahman is a major person. Though as a part of the Bharatanatyam performances, it was initially presented. She talked about only gurus who were doing only Kuchipudi, of course. But the thing is, Indrani Rahman and other important is Yamini
Krishnamurti, I was about to say. I think hers would be the prior work than Indrani Rahman?
No. First is Indrani Rahman, then is Yamini Krishnamurti. Okay, and because of them, Korada went to Delhi. Korada taught in Delhi. Because of Yamini Krishnamurti, PVJ Krishna Sarmagaru went to Delhi. Because the hereditary gurus were there, they conducted their performances and things like that. These are the two major artists. I think, they give the backgrounder for your Delhi Kuchipudi. Whatever has happened over a period of time. Of course, parallelly, you have the Reddys going over there and doing a lot of work. And of course, the others would follow. I suppose as a backgrounder, they are the ones who have to be actually, and also the interpretation of what has happened in Delhi during 1957. I would definitely urge you to go back to the original things and then, try and look at it from your own lens as such. That would give some kind of a strength to this. Inclusion of these two would definitely give a strength, rather than whether they are Padma Shris, Padma Bhushan, doesn't matter to me, to any of us. Because for the art, what has happened is something that is very, very important. How did they, which way did they take the art is something very important. Yes. So these are the few comments that I have. I'm sorry that I haven't read the entire, only based on your presentations that I'm doing. Probably whatever I have actually indicated in these might be already present in your papers. Okay. I haven't read the papers. I have just seen your presentation, given whatever has come to my mind. If it is of some help, please take it. If not, take it as another comment. That's it. Okay. Thank you so much. I would definitely thank especially Abhinaya and then Sita teacher for having invited me to this session, given me this honor of chairing the session. But definitely I'm quite, I'm taking back, because one thing is that let us not repeat what has been written already. Bring in new perspectives, not because you want to bring new perspectives. If you think that it can be read in a different way altogether or brought in a different way, definitely this will definitely add to the existing scholarship. Okay. All the best to you. I'm told that you're publishing a book out of it. Please do take care of all this. If I'm of some help, I would probably give you some suggestions, maybe not spend as much time going through all this. Okay. Thank you very much. So are we coming to the end of the session now?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for the valuable insights. I would now like to request Abhinaya ma'am to give the closing remarks.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us time. I thank Professor Anuradha Jonalgadda ma'am to have agreed and given us opportunity to be guided by her for today's discussion. I believe this relationship would continue, and into the book as well it would reflect. I thank all the speakers, Srimati Aparna Dhulipala, Shri Pashumarti Datta, Srimati Veena Mani, Srimati Priyanka Nirupam, and Harsha herself, to have agreed and presented this side of research about Kuchipudi. I thank my gurus, Guru Srimati Sita Nagajyoti and Guru Shri P. Nagajyoti, to have stood entire support. On behalf of Foundation for Developed India and Nrityajyoti team, a special mention to Max Harsha, who has been the main resource person to make this conference happen. I also thank Anugula Aparna Reddy for hosting us today. I thank all the audience for actually gathering for Kuchipudi and for the big announcement, as ma'am said. These articles and more of them will be published by Manak Publications under the title Kuchipudi Now, Voices from the Past and Future by December. So with that announcement, we also look forward to hosting another session very soon. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you, ma'am, especially for coming and actually giving us a path for this entire conference and giving us more ideas for what to do for the next conference as well. Thank you. Thank you.
I'll just leave now, okay?
Ji. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Maybe are you ending the session?
Hanji.
Okay.
Thank you, Aparna. Thank you. Bye. Thank you, Veena. Thank you, Priyanka. A big round of applause for all of us who have been sitting through for like 2-3 hours through this. Thank you for the rest who were not speaking but actually participating in it for such a long time. Thank you again. See you soon. Bye.